be able to ask all the mayors while they're together. Thank you. So we will, it's 6:32. We will begin our TNO meeting. And this is meeting of May 19th, 2021. And I'd like to welcome everyone who has joined us on Facebook Live, as well as the media, and welcome all the Council of Mayors and our staff and our Director General. Could I have an opening for a resolution for the opening and attendance? Moved by Mayor Alain Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. And so I'll do the attendance, and this will now suffice for both of our meetings. Please say present when I call out your name. Mayor Sundstrom.
Present.
Mayor.
Present.
Mayor Orr.
Present.
Mayor Alain Gagnon.
Present.
Mayor Maurice Beauregard.
Present.
Mayor Donnie Gagnon.
Present.
Mayor John Armstrong.
Present.
Mayor Debbie Laporte.
Present.
Mayor Serge Newberry.
Present.
Mayor Pro Warden Kim Cartier-Villeneuve.
Present.
Mayor Jill Dion.
Present.
Mayor Lynn Cameron.
Present.
Mayor James Gibson.
Present.
Mayor Sandra Murray.
Present.
Mayor Doris Ranger.
Present.
Mayor Colleen LaRiviere.
Present.
Mayor Karen Kelly.
Present.
Mayor David Rochon.
Present.
Thank you. Perfect attendance. Thank you, everyone. And Bernard Waugh
Present.
and Travis Ladisser,
Soir, présent.
Kim Lesage,
Present.
Natasha Guimet,
Present.
Colleen Jones,
Present.
Cindy Phillips,
Present.
Jason Durand,
Present.
Alex Savoy-Perron.
Present.
Okay, merci beaucoup. And I would also like to say that we are meeting on Zoom tonight, but given the recent news from our Premier, Bernard Waugh and I were discussing the fact we'll have to see what the next month brings, but we can only hope we might be able to have a person-to-person rather than Zoom meeting in June, something we will aim for. We'll go to number 2. And this is simply stating that because of COVID-19, we have to, as a ministerial decree, video record this sitting, and also we're providing Facebook Live, and the recorded meeting will be posted on the MRC website, probably by tomorrow, by our communications person, Colleen Jones. I will next go to the declaration, the use of language of your choice. Je rappelle qu'il est important que toutes les personnes ici présentes puissent s'exprimer librement dans la langue de leur choix. Au besoin, une ressource de la MRC pourra assurer une traduction. We will have the statement of decorum, declaration of decorum. I'm simply asking everyone to keep their microphones off unless they are speaking, and it is our responsibility, the people of Pontiac who've elected us, to conduct this meeting in a businesslike and professional fashion. And I will listen carefully, and if I hear any negative comments or criticisms, I'll stop the meeting and ask that person to apologize. We'll go to number 5. Could I have a resolution for the reading and adoption of the agenda? Moved by
David.
Okay, Mayor Rochon, all those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Just going to move the screen for a minute so I can see all of you. There we go. Okay, makes it easier. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest on this particular agenda for the TNO? Okay, seeing none. Number 7, we have a resolution to adopt the minutes of our last sitting in the month of April, moved by
Karen.
Mayor Karen Kelly. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Number 8, e-questions from the public. I don't believe we have any e-questions for the TNO agenda. They are for our regional council meeting. We'll go to accounts paid. Bernard Waugh, I think, has some comments to make, and then we will have a resolution to approve. Go ahead, Bernard.
Yeah, for this month, I'll be the one that present this item. So I'll start with l'état the statement of incomes, so l'état des résultats. Just to say that on date of May 17th, the total revenues were $341,000. So it's about 50% of the budget of the year. The total expenses were $101,892. It represents something like 15% of the budget. And on May 17th, the surplus was $339,000 in surplus. Yes. If we go to the receivable, only one thing. I have here my sheet. Just a second. Receivable are 79,651. We are waiting for an amount from the MFFP mainly, so 75,000. The payable, we have to pay the Minister of Finance for an amount of 8,941, and about the checks to send to service provider, we have an amount of $23,440, and it consists mostly in paying the auditor for the statement he presented last month. Also the SQ, the amount for the SQ for the year for the SQ in the TNO, and finally we have to pay an amount of $11,549 for the boat washing station. That's mainly what I have to present to you today for this part of the agenda. And if you agree, we need a resolution to approve the list of accounts to be paid for the TNO.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make the resolution.
Oh, you're moving the resolution. Thanks very much, Mayor Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you, Bernard. We have item 10, the awarding of the contract for the construction of the TNO garage. Our resolution, I'll ask our engineer, Kim Lesage, to present it. Kim?
Thank you, Jane. We received 2 bids out of the requests that were sent out for the construction of the garage, which also included the electrical work. And we are proposing to award the contract to the lowest bidder, which was also has presented a compliant submission. It was Greenhill GP of Mansfield, Pontefract, and the amount for the construction of the garage, all the material and the electrical, was $98,850.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? That's great. Thank you very much. So could I have someone move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Debbie Laporte. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Number 11, the intermunicipal agreement for the maintenance of Jim's Road. We'll go to our manager of territory, Jason Durand, and we'll have a resolution. Go ahead, Jason.
Oui, bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, everybody. Actually, this is an agreement resolution for an agreement between TNO and the municipality of Mansfield for the maintenance of Jims Lake Road from kilometer 18 to kilometer 40. So this is actually has been done last year. This agreement went very well. So this is a resolution asking to go again for this year.
Okay, any questions or comments? Moved by Mayor Jill Dion, or do you want to say something,
Well,
Jill?
I have a question for
Yes,
Jason.
go ahead.
What about la poussière, Jason? Qu'est-ce qu'on avait à discuter? C'est-tu
Yeah.
dans le...
It's in the contract as it's going to be in the contract that we've proposed for this year for the agreement.
OK.
It's included, no problem.
OK, merci.
Okay. Would you like to move the resolution, Mayor Dion?
You should
Yeah, I
have.
guess I could, yeah.
Okay, that's great. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And we just need one final resolution to close the sitting of the TNO council meeting, moved by Mayor Brantor. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Okay. Now we will begin our regional council meeting for May 19th. We will have a resolution, please, to open the meeting, moved by Mayor Karen Kelly. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. And we've already taken the attendance. Once again, I'd just like to remind everyone by ministerial decree that we need to video record this sitting. It's also on Facebook Live, and it will be posted on our MRC website by tomorrow. Number 3, the use of the language of your choice. Je rappelle qu'il est important que toutes les personnes ici présentes puissent s'exprimer librement dans la langue de leur choix. Au besoin, une ressource de la MRC pourra assurer une traduction. And the statement once again, that please keep your microphones off, especially a couple of you who are calling in by phone. If you can mute your phone, because we pick up a lot of static sometimes, it makes it difficult to hear. And when you would like to speak, just ask to be recognized, and of course you can speak. And once again, we will, I'm just asking that everyone behaves in the best way possible through this meeting, and that we just do our best to conduct the business of the MRC Pontiac. Thank you. Number 5, could I have a resolution to read and adopt this agenda?
Jane, can I make a comment?
Of course.
We sent river markers on the Ottawa River for Chichester.
Yes.
We talked about it last week at the,
You don't see it on the agenda?
not on the agenda. that I see.
Exactly. And I got another email or two today about that. So we will add that, Mayor Gagnon. We'll add it under miscellaneous. Oh, it is there, 20.3 Ottawa River Markers Chichester resolution.
Okay, it must be new.
I
Okay.
think it was just added. Yes, it was. But thank you for drawing attention. Anyone else wanting to add anything to this agenda? Under Beria? No? Okay, thank you. Are there any declarations? So we will have a resolution to adopt this agenda. Moved by Mayor Donnie Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest on this agenda?
Yes, 19.1.
19.1, Mayor Rochon. Okay, thank you very much. Any others? Okay, we'll go on to number 7. I need a resolution to adopt the minutes of the April 21st sitting. Moved by Mayor Morris Beauregard. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Number 8. As you know, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we all know in particular that the COVID-19 has also had a great impact on many people. Loneliness, just being restricted from usual activities, contact with family and friends. And we were going to have Michel Laporte speak to us on this matter for this month. He was unable to attend tonight. He had some surgery. He will be with us in June. And so even though this is the month where we are aware in particular of the needs of mental health through the TDSP and also Michel's work with the CISO, he has a very interesting program and he will speak publicly about it at the June meeting. And I just know that every mayor in their municipalities is doing their best to see that the needs of everyone are being well looked after. And I just felt it was important to draw attention to this on our agenda tonight from the MRC Pontiac. That's just here for information. Number 9, we have some special guests. And actually, we're ahead of schedule. Isn't that great? We were thinking approximately 7 o'clock we would start. Mr. Ladisser, are all of our guests online? Are they all here?
Madam Warden, I believe everyone has arrived. I do see Monsieur Fortin. So,
Yes.
bonsoir, Monsieur.
Okay, so I think we'll begin then. As you know, the Premier and government announced the need to take Bill 96, and they have some revisions, Bill 101. And we actually have a resolution tonight that has been drafted so that the MRC Pontiac can reinstate its bilingual status, which is very important, something we've had since 1977. And we felt it was very important to have our MNA, Andre Fortin, who's already been interviewed. He's been in all our local newspapers and the media in Gatineau talking about this because he represents an area. And we know MRC Pontiac actually is 59.4% first language English speaking as of the census 2016. So I'm just going to turn things over to Andre Fortin and welcome him. And we will finish up afterwards moving the resolution. One last point. As we know, it's one thing to ask for this as a region, but really it's a municipal issue. So we will send each of you this resolution and we would ask you at your next council meeting to support it and move resolutions. And then we'll either send them all in together or we'll just ask you to send it to the Premier's office. Okay, Andre Fortin, welcome, bienvenue.
Hi, Jane. Hello, everybody. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to speak to you about this bill tonight. I know there's a lot of concern in the community. There's a lot of worry as to what this might mean for our municipalities, as Jane was just pointing out, but also for our business, from a business standpoint, from a services to the English-speaking community standpoint. And maybe just even in terms of community relations. I think one of the overarching fears about this bill is that it might create a bit of a linguistic divide in the province, as has been done in the past when initiatives of the sort have come up. And so Jane suggested that I come and have a quick chat with you as to the broad lines of the bill and maybe answer some of the questions that you might have. So I'll give you a quick overview. And to be quite honest, the bill is far from cut and dry. It's far from black and white. There's a lot of room to interpretation, and there's still room for improvements, amendments, changes along the way. And this government has not been afraid of strengthening their bills as they are being studied by Parliament. It was the case on Bill 21 with regards to religious symbols, and so some of the more controversial or highly visible items that they've put forward, they've amended along the way, and sometimes in favor of those making recommendations. But on this bill, they'll have people who will make recommendations in favor of strengthening it, and they'll have people who will make recommendations in favor of lessening some of the restrictions. So I'll give you a quick overview, and maybe I'll start with municipal affairs because you touched on it in your introduction. So the one change that this will bring in terms of municipalities is that after every census, the government will take a look at the percentage of people who declare English as their mother tongue or their first language in every municipality that has bilingual status. Now, currently in the MRC Pontiac, most municipalities have bilingual status, except for, and I'm going by memory here, I may be forgetting a few, I believe Fort Collonges, Mansfield, and Île-du-Camp-Calumet. And there might be some others, but those ones stuck out to me. Everybody else has bilingual status. And fortunately, for the benefit of this exercise, everybody is over 50% of English speaking residents, and they're only full-time residents that are counted. So if you didn't have that, what the government would do is remove your bilingual status. So remove the possibility for you to offer services in both languages to all your residents. And you would have 4 months to send a resolution asking for reinstatement of that bilingual status. So in the overall Outaouais region, the municipality of Pontiac is under 50%, but has bilingual status. Chelsea is one. I think Casabazua might be another. And so what's going to happen to these municipalities if the bill passes is they will lose their bilingual status, and they'll have 4 months to pass a resolution to get it back. Obviously, if they choose not to, if council decides not to do it, if for some administrative reason they can't get it done, then they lose that status forever. So in terms of, and I'm not sure, I didn't see the resolution that Jane was proposing, but you in the MRC Pontiac, because your municipalities are all over 50% of English speaking residents, those that do have the bilingual status, you don't need to pass a resolution to say, we want that status back. That's one thing. There's a number of items that are being touched by the bill. Appointment of judges, for example. Usually the bench is who decides what areas need bilingual judges. This would fall in the hands of the minister, so you could easily see a minister who is maybe a bit more nationalistic or of another political leaning might not want as many. The current justice minister, who happens to be the French language minister, has already hinted at the last bench appointment that he didn't want a bilingual judge. So this is kind of where this whole debate has started, but that's an issue that could potentially affect services to residents as well if they don't have the ability to access justice services in their own language. Small businesses are going to be impacted significantly by this bill because it brings in the concept of right to live in French. So what that basically means is everything that you do from the time you're born to the time that you pass away, you should be able to do in French in the province. So any shop that you walk into has the obligation to serve you in French. Every small business can no longer just post a bilingual required position. They have to evaluate. They have, and I'm going to read this right because it's kind of tricky. They cannot ask for knowledge of English unless they make the demonstration that it's necessary, and they must take every reasonable means to avoid requesting English. So that means evaluate the linguistic needs of a task, evaluate the linguistic capacities of others who are already in employment who could do this task, limit the maximum number of positions for which English is already necessary. So there's a number of requirements on small business if you want to post a position that requires a language that is not French. The other impact on small business is businesses that are between 26 and 49 employees. Typically, those businesses are exempt from Bill 101. They would no longer be. So that means that if you're a business between 26 and 49, and we've got a few in the Pontiac that are operated by Anglophones, you would have to basically ensure that your business operates in French, that the language of business in the workplace is French. And that means the government would force you to have a comité de francisation, which is basically a committee made up of some of your employees in charge of and analyzing the linguistic situation of the business, making a francisation program for the business. Application oversight would be of their responsibility, and they would have to report to the government as to how the business changed its practices. So some of the practices that would be called to change would be usage of French by the owners, increase of people, employees knowing French, using French as a language of communications internally, using French appropriately in signage and publicity, and hiring practices. So those would all be things that would fall under this comité de francisation, which would be made up of employees. So small businesses have always been exempt from this. Now government is saying that they would have to do this, and basically in the exact same way that a large employer like Bombardier or Microsoft or anybody else would have to do it. There's maybe two other things that I'd like to point out from here. There's changes to signage. They're changing the current regulations to clearly predominant in the name of the business and any outdoor signage. So a lot of places might have to change their signage, and access to CEGEPs. So right now, students who are of Francophone parents in the province of Quebec, meaning people like myself, who both their parents went to French school in the province, have the obligation to go to French school. Same thing with immigrants. Now, that does not extend to CEGEP. So if I had wanted to, I could have gone to Heritage College, I could have gone to St. Lawrence College, whatever CEGEP of my choosing, because it's adult education. What the government is saying is, instead of restricting my rights as a Francophone to go to an English CEGEP, what they'll do is they'll limit the number of spaces in an English CEGEP to 17% of the overall spaces in the province. And from year to year, that percentage can never grow, it can only drop. So eventually, there will be less and less services available to Anglophones. They are saying that they will find a way to ensure that those who come from the English high school system have priority over people like me who would maybe want to go to an Anglophone CEGEP. But it still means that over time, the percentage of spaces allocated in the English CEGEPs will decrease. And there's a couple of items that are outside the bill that are particularly important. There's an old PQ bill that passed in 2002. It was called Bill 104. And Bill 104 is basically, it's never been implemented. No government after it passed, so it passed in 2002, no government until the CAQ government now has ever passed the regulations associated to the bill, so it was never really enforced. And what it does is that it forces the government of Quebec, to deal with businesses, no matter how big or small, whether it's Microsoft and Bombardier, or whether it's the corner store in Mansfield, or a farmer in Clarendon, in French. So the language of communication from government to that business is now exclusively French. And it does the same thing with other governments. So if government of Quebec wanted to talk to, I don't know, the state of Illinois, their communications, at least outgoing, would be in French. And the other thing that is worth noting is that in its last budget, the government put $104 million in additional funding to the OQLF budget. Now, what this money basically is there to do is to ensure that all these changes the government is bringing in will be enforced over time. So the government will have the enforcement authority and the enforcement means to come to local businesses, to follow up on complaints, to be present and ensuring that what they're putting into place from a regulation standpoint or from a law standpoint, the government has, say, the teeth and the presence to enforce that. So it is a lot of changes. What we've said publicly is that anytime they touch services, and anytime they touch services to the English-speaking community in particular, is where we'll draw the line on this. I think a lot of people in Quebec recognize that there is a need to promote the use of the French language. But if you're going to take away services, that's where you get a real problem in our mind. And the other thing that we want to make sure is that the rights of the Anglophone community, as are entrenched in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the Constitution, are protected. The way government is protecting itself from doing that is that they're blanketing the notwithstanding clause, which allows them to bypass the Charter of Rights and Freedoms on the entire bill. Usually when government does that, they'll go to a very specific article of their bill and say, this we've got an issue with, we think we need to do more on French language, religious symbols, whatever it might be, and we'll use the notwithstanding clause. In this case, they just blanketed the whole thing. So that means that there could be rights that are affected at any turn during the study of this bill. So it's one that's going to require a very particular attention to detail during the study of the bill, so that we can make sure that the rights of the English-speaking community are respected. I think that's an overview. If you've got, questions, I'd be happy to.
Any questions or comments that anyone would like to make while Andre's
here? Yes, Jane, I have a couple of questions.
Daniel, yes.
Thank you. So for now, of course, like you were saying, it's a project.
Oui.
Est-ce qu'il y a eu des discussions sur l'échéancier? Quand est-ce qu'ils voulaient le faire passer ça?
Il y a eu le premier ministre a mentionné un souhait. La façon que ça fonctionne habituellement, c'est que tu as une période de consultation. Donc, il y a des groupes qui viennent à Québec là, qui mettent sur la place publique leurs recommandations, des changements possibles, etc. Ce que le ministre aimerait faire, c'est les faire relativement rapidement. Moi, j'ai l'impression qu'il va faire ça dans les prochaines semaines. C'est mon impression. Que l'étude du projet de loi, donc la portion là, où on va aller vraiment dans le projet de loi étudier chacun des articles, ça va se faire pendant l'automne. Puis j'ai entendu le premier ministre souhaiter que ce soit adopté avant Noël.
Okay, so the main answer I get is that it's not something that will be adopted before the end of this session in June. Like so
no,
it's before Christmas.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the objective of the premier anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have time to react on this.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
I believe he gave 100 days to respond, the municipalities, and we know this was an election promise, right, Andre? And so in many ways, it's not a surprise. Did he not make a promise about this and the term is finished at 2022?
There was some form of discussion about strengthening language restrictions or the language bill. It wasn't precise, though. It was never in, we'll deal with the judiciary, we'll deal with the municipalities, we'll go on professional orders or small business. So it wasn't explicitly said what it would be. There's been a bunch of trial balloons that have been put out there over the last couple of months. And now they've got something tangible that we can look at, that we can study, that we could try to improve. At the end of the day, that the CAQ does have a majority, so they can, if they want to pass one specific part of this bill that we're opposed to, or that groups want to make changes to, they can still do it. But I think it'll be up to us as a party, but up to you also to make the appropriate comments and make government understand how this can affect our region.
Okay.
I have a question.
Comments? Yes, go ahead, Mayor Gibson.
Are they allowed to ignore the Constitution, in which there's two official languages, both English and French? So they're making the French the predominant language and forgetting about English?
Yeah, the province of Quebec has one official language, the same way, I don't know, Alberta does, for example. But officially in Quebec documents, it has one official language, and that's French. there are rights that are protected for the English speaking community, right? And those are in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Those are, and that's why they're using the notwithstanding clause here, is because they know that on some level, they are probably infringing on the rights of the English speaking minority. And by using the notwithstanding clause, it's kind of a trump card in saying, well, I can bypass the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. My charter on French language overrides that. And so that's what they're essentially doing by using the notwithstanding clause. It gives the provinces the power to do that. But using the notwithstanding clause usually comes with groups that will challenge it in court and things like that. So it protects them in their legislation, but it also places them on uncertain footing. In terms of the changes that they want to make to the Canadian Constitution, because they brought in 2 clauses that they want to make to the Canadian Constitution and make it unilaterally. They want to say that French is the common language of Quebec and that Quebec is a nation. They want to put that in the Canadian Constitution. There's debate from constitutional experts as to whether they can do that. Prime Minister Trudeau came out this week agreeing with the Premier that they can do it. So Mr. Trudeau and Mr. Legault kind of both agree that they can do it, but there's still a lot of constitutional experts out there that are saying, we're not so sure. You might need Parliament's approval. You might need a more rigorous process. So it's not cut and dry at this point, and there's still a lot of experts to hear on that question, Jim.
Okay, thanks.
Mayor Beauregard?
Andre, I'm not sure if you can answer this question, but in my house, there's been a lot of discussion about in the Pontiac, we know a lot of our children go to either elementary or high school in English and vice versa in French.
Yeah.
Will the children who have done that right now be eliminated from going to English Cégep the way you understand it or not? Well, I understand that they will be, but I just wanted to get some clarity if you can.
My understanding, and I went through the 200 articles, there's 100 pages of this bill, and I went through every single one of them earlier today. And you're right, there's a lot of families in that situation, and I'm one of them, right? My wife's an Anglophone. We could have sent our kids to English elementary, and we chose not to. But if I read the bill correctly, my analysis is that as long as they've got that documentation, basically, that we went to get from the Western Quebec School Board that tells us that our kids are eligible to go to English elementary and high school, that they are part of that group that can go to English Cégep, and for which the English Cégeps have to make, and that's how they put it in the legislation, the English Cégeps have to make an effort to prioritize these guys. So it's still a little wishy-washy as to how they can do that, how many they have to accept. Do they have to say take somebody who went to an English high school but that has a 64 average over somebody who went to a French high school but has an 89 average? It's not clear. It just says they have to make an effort.
Okay, thank you. I had one other side to that as well. The way I read it, the major English Cégeps will have the bigger numbers, which means our smaller Cégeps will be cut back in numbers here, which will allow less chances for our Pontiac kids to stay local to go to school. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't read it exactly that way. It doesn't say, and if I were being just political, I would tend to agree with you. But I didn't read it exactly that way. It says that the Ministry of Higher Education has the authority to decide year after year how many spots go to all the Cégeps. Will they prioritize Dawson College in Montreal over Heritage College in the Outaouais? Possibly. I'm a bit worried because we only have one Cégep in the Pontiac. It's Heritage College, and obviously it does accept some kids who or some students who may not have that English that ability to go to school in English because it's the only local Cégep. So I'm worried that the French kids in the Pontiac will maybe lose that possibility to go to Heritage Campbell's Bay. And at that point, will they have the means to go to Cégep de l'Outaouais and Gatineau? I don't know. That's a tricky part, and that's one of my worries about the bill.
That's my concern as well, because we're predominantly bilingual in this area. But if the bigger number is given to the schools in Montreal, well, our kids will have to travel there to go to school. Anyways, thank you, Andre, for your answers.
Andre,
I have questions.
Okay. I was just going to say one quick thing, Sandra, before you speak. Andre, can you stay with us another 5 or 10 minutes?
Yep, for sure.
So Mayor Murray, please speak and ask your question. Then we're going to take a little break from this subject. And we have 2 special guests who may not be able to stay on much longer. And I would like to make the 2 presentations. I think you'd enjoy seeing that, Andre. And then we'll come back to this issue and we have our resolution. Go ahead, Mayor Murray.
Yes, I'm wondering about medical services with this new bill. Will the English have rights to medical service in their language if they don't speak French?
It doesn't, the bill doesn't specifically address medical services. So there doesn't appear to be any changes on that front at first glance. There are 2 things, Sandra, though, in the bill that might affect and services, if I take the broad definition of it. One is possibly on signage. And if you include all the signage in terms of services, maybe there could be an effect there. And the other is on professional orders. From my understanding, every professional order, so whether it's the order of architects, order of accountants, order of nurses, doctors, whatever it might be, you will have to prove to that order, and I think you already do that, but you have to prove to that order that you can speak and offer the service in French as a professional. So as a doctor, as a nurse, I have to make that proof to my professional order that I can provide the service in French. Now what they will do is require that every 3 years that requirement is proven again. So if I'm a doctor that, I don't know, is from Ireland, that I came in not speaking a word, that I learned the language of French, that I passed that I proved it to my my order of doctors, and after 20 years of being in the West Island or being in the Pontiac, I kind of lost it, or lost it to the level of their requirements. Now they'll have those people tested every 3 years. That's the only place where I could see in terms of access to medicine. But in terms of your rights to access medicine or medical services in your community, I don't see changes in this bill from what's previously in place.
Okay, great. I'm just going to, just one moment, we're going to just take a small break. It's a very important subject, but we had invited some other special guests and they were asked to be on for 7, and it's past that, so we will need more time on this bill. So what I'd like to do is go to item 9.2, where hopefully, yes, I see him, good. Monsieur, I say Xavier in English. In French, I suppose it's Xavier. Is that correct?
Yeah, we say Xavier.
Okay, thank you. I want you to know that this was brought to our attention through Mayor Gilles Dion, and we've seen all the coverage in the local papers and heard you interviewed. We are so impressed with the fact that, I know that you're not a really old person, that you have accomplished what you have at this age, that you're from the Pontiac. And so I simply want to say, nous sommes extrêmement fiers de vos réalisations et pensons qu'il est étonnant que vous participez aux Jeux panaméricains. Nous vous souhaitons tout le succès et nous aurons une reconnaissance spéciale pour vous à votre retour. So when you return, we have a special recognition on behalf of the MRC Pontiac and the Council of Mayors. Today, there wasn't a lot of time. So at this point, we want to just wish you the very best. And I'm going to turn things over to Mayor Gilles Dion, who knows you better than I do. He is the one that brought this to our attention. Go ahead, Mayor Dion.
Salut Xavier, ça va?
Oui, ça va bien, toi?
Oui. Je voulais dire au nom de la municipalité de Mansfield, félicitations. Personnellement, je te connais, ça fait depuis que tu es au monde. J'ai suivi ton cheminement dans le weightlifting avec ton père, puis ça prend beaucoup de discipline, puis je te félicite pour ça. C'est vraiment, vraiment quelque chose. Puis surtout dans ton cheminement, puis dans tes réalisations, où ce que tu es rendu vraiment aux Jeux panaméricains. Puis je suis fier de dire que la communauté de Mansfield et Fort-Coulonge, puis le Pontiac sont derrière toi, puis ils sont vraiment fiers de toi. Fait que lâche pas, puis je te souhaite bonne chance en Colombie.
Merci beaucoup, Gilles. J'aimerais remercier aussi toutes les petites compagnies locales qui ont aidé moi et mon équipe financièrement. C'est vraiment un honneur. On apprécie énormément tout le sport. C'est incroyable comment en tant que communauté, on peut accomplir de grandes choses ensemble. Je suis très fier de représenter la municipalité de Mansfield et tout le Pontiac en grand complet. On s'entraîne fort pour les Jeux panaméricains, puis je vous le dis tout de suite que je ne reviens pas à main vide. Merci beaucoup encore, c'est grandement apprécié.
Félicitations.
So the pictures from the front page of the Equity have just been flashed up, so we can see. What would the weight of that be that you are lifting right there?
This picture is me during training. I'm doing a snatch, which is one of the main movements of weightlifting. Here, I think I'm doing a snatch of 128 kilograms, but it's my personal record for now is 139 kilograms for this movement.
And I had one other question. Could you tell us how long you've been weightlifting, and tell us a little bit about where you're going actually for the Pan American Games, and when are you going?
So I started pretty young, just doing training in general. My dad got me in the whole like fitness world. We started doing martial arts at a very young age, and I haven't started weightlifting since I was 10 years old. So I was doing gymnastics before, and we found this club in Pembroke, which was related with another weightlifting team, and I tried it out, and since then it's been working out really well. I fell in love with the sport. It's a great sport. It's a sport that you work on your weaknesses, and you have a certain you need to have a good surrounding doing these types of things. And for the Pan American Games, we are actually going to Colombia, in Manizales, if I'm correct. It's going to be, the competition is going to be held from June 20th to June 26th. And we're not sure which date exactly I'll be competing, but it's during that time. We're very excited. Like I said, we're training very hard, and it's going to be a very good experience.
I'm just going to give, that's wonderful. Well, we're so excited for you. You're really going to put the Pontiac on the map. And Andre, would you like to say something on behalf of being our M&A?
Juste un court mot, un mot rapide de félicitations pour toi, Xavier. C'est toujours le fun pour nous autres, mais pour tout le monde dans la communauté, là, de voir des gens de chez nous qui réussissent comme ça à un niveau sans précédent dans ton monde, en tout cas. Là. Donc, félicitations, bonne chance. On a hâte j'aime beaucoup ta confiance, mais on a hâte de voir comment ça va se passer. Puis, on est tous, je pense qu'on est tous, tu peux dire, derrière toi. Donc, bonne chance, puis bon succès.
Merci beaucoup, c'est très apprécié.
I'm sure every single mayor here is, do you want to just all say it together? I'll unmute and say, bonne chance, good luck.
Bonne chance.
Bonne chance. Bravo.
Bonne chance.
You have all 18 municipalities behind you and all the staff in the MRC, and we're so excited for you, and we'll be waiting to see how you do, but you're a winner in our eyes, no matter how you do. When you come back, we'll welcome you here again at our meeting, and present something special. Merci beaucoup. Bonne chance.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming to our meeting. It's a big highlight. Thank you. So we'll now go to 9.3. We had some discussion at our plenary meeting about Lac du Mont, which we know is in the TNO of the MRC Pontiac. And I had a field trip, which was organized by Mr. Jason Durant and Matthew, also Lacroix, came from the TNO, we went up together in a truck. I'd never visited the lake before, and we met a gentleman whose name is Marc Soulière. And many of you know him because he has a famous Facebook site, but I have his business card right here, and beautiful drone view of the magnificent beach of Lac du Mont. And he started a group called Les Amis du Lac du Mont. And so, Marc, I'm going to give you a chance to speak in a moment, but first of all, we have prepared a special recognition of you tonight, and we will be sending this to you or delivering it to you. So I will just read this. On behalf of the MRC Pontiac, to Marc Soulière, au nom du personnel de la MRC de Pontiac et des membres du conseil régional des maires, nous tenons à exprimer notre gratitude et notre appréciation à Monsieur Marc Soulière pour son dévouement et ses efforts passionnés pour protéger le secteur de Lac du Mont. Lac du Mont, avec sa plage et son magnifique lac sauvage, est situé dans le territoire non organisé de la MRC de Pontiac. Grâce à toi, de nombreuses familles peuvent profiter des loisirs et du camping dans un environnement préservé pour des générations à venir. Merci pour les merveilleux efforts déployés par ton équipe de bénévoles. Les Amis du Lac du Mont pour protéger cette précieuse destination, et nous espérons avoir le plaisir de travailler avec toi dans les années à venir. Felicitations. And it's signed by myself and Bernard Waugh, the Director General. And the reason we're doing this, Marc, is because this is our responsibility. We're a little bit, it's a remote place. I suppose Mayor Kim Cartier-Villeneuve knows it best from Otter Lake. And we have seen a huge change in the condition of these grounds, thanks to you and your tireless efforts over the last 2 or 3 years, picking up all of the garbage. At one point, there were raves there, a lot of inappropriate activity. All of that has now stopped, and people can enjoy themselves camping. We hear you're very well respected there. People know you. And as you told me the day that I met you, you take your ATV 35 minutes or so from where you live in Kayama. And this is a personal project. It's a purpose in life for you, the way you're looking after it. And we're really grateful. And we think now that you need our help. So we are talking about a plan for what type of infrastructure we could introduce. But tonight, we just want to say merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. And Marc, the floor is yours. And I know Jason wants to say something as well. Please go ahead, Marc.
Yes, thank you. Merci, Jane. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Of course, it's a great honor and a great pleasure to be here this evening. As Jane said, I've been giving a lot of time and effort to this Lac du Mont, but with great reason. It's a great place. I mean, there's no other place like it. And I think right now, as we got the crowd control, we got the garbage control, we got everything under control. Now we just need a little bit of upgrade as far as the garbages and where to put them and whatnot. But we're doing good, as Jane said. Of course, we need some more tools, of course, from the Pontiac, but we'll talk about that on a later date. But I'm privileged, and of course, I'm very honored that everybody followed. Because this could have, exploded literally in my face and have overcrowded raves and whatnot. But I'm very fortunate. I'm giving my time and my life to this project, in order for those to be able to profit from this beautiful lake, including families which have been absent from this place for years and years and years.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Jason, would you like to speak?
Oui, certainement. Ben, en tout cas, Marc, comme Jane a dit, puis comme les maires aussi, on tient vraiment à te remercier. On apprécie grandement ce que tu fais, dans le fond, pour le site. Donc, évidemment, nous autres, notre but, c'est d'amener du support, venir t'aider là-dedans. Puis évidemment que la MRC peut jouer un plus grand rôle là, au niveau de la gestion de la plage du Lac-du-Mont. Donc, on est encore comme tu sais, on est dans le processus, on est dans le cheminement d'essayer de chercher des solutions. Encore, le but premier, c'est de faire une mise en valeur du site, mais tout en gardant son aspect sauvage. Et je pense que ça fait justement partie grandement de ta philosophie du site. Puis à date, je pense que pour Mme Toller, avec ce qu'elle a vu, elle est très d'accord aussi avec cette vision-là. Donc, évidemment, Marc, comme on dit, lâche pas le bon travail, puis inquiète-toi pas, on va t'amener un support là, le plus vite possible qu'on peut. Évidemment, il y a des aspects pas toujours faciles, là, que ce soit au niveau avec les différents ministères et tout ça. Mais je veux juste aussi rassurer la population que le statu quo là, il est inadéquat dans ce cas-ci. Puis on va prendre les mesures qui sont nécessaires pour protéger le site, entre autres. Donc, encore, je te dis, Marc, un gros merci. Évidemment, on va garder contact là, pour les étapes à venir.
Absolument. Merci à toi, Jason. Puis merci pour votre reconnaissance. C'est un énorme plaisir d'être avec vous ce soir et de travailler en collaboration avec le Pontiac. Un énorme plaisir. Toujours à mes frais, toujours bénévole.
That's wonderful. It's wonderful that we can work together, but now it is our turn to take our responsibility to help you. And so thanks once again, and we'll see you soon and deliver your certificate of recognition, which you can put on a wall at home. And remember and make it so it's all worthwhile. Thank you very much, Mark. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Bonsoir.
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 Okay, we will go back now to questions of Andre concerning Bill number 96. Sandra, I think you asked, Mary Marie had her questions answered about the medical, and Gilles had his hand up. Go ahead, Mayor Dion.
Question for André. André, au niveau des soins de santé, comme Sandra disait pour la langue, est-ce que le Conseil québécois de l'agrément obligerait à servir les personnes dans la langue de leur choix?
J'ai pas vu de changement, Gilles, là, vraiment au niveau des services offerts pour des soins de santé. C'est comme je te dis, là, moi, ce qui m'inquiète, c'est que il y a peut-être des médecins qui pourraient perdre leur accréditation ou des choses comme ça. Mais au niveau de comment on donne les services de santé, comme je te dis, à première vue, je ne le vois pas. Mais encore là, en quelque part dans ce projet de loi-là, il y a des droits qui sont affectés, là, sinon on n'utiliserait pas la clause non-obstante. Donc, je te dirais qu'on a encore de la recherche à faire pour tout comprendre. Puis ça, c'est un peu tout le travail qu'on va faire là, probablement pendant la période d'automne où on va leur regarder un article à la fois, puis en débattre, puis l'étudier qui va vraiment nous aider à comprendre le fin détail. Moi, les grands changements que je vois vraiment, là, où les gens vont avoir de la misère à avoir des services, c'est soit au niveau des cégeps, soit au niveau de certains ordres professionnels peut-être, là, puis au niveau des municipalités. Puis encore là, le grand changement, c'est sûr que ça va être pour les entreprises, là, pour des gens qui sont unilingues anglophones, puis qui sont propriétaires d'entreprises, ça va être un moyen changement.
Merci.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, perhaps then what we'll do is read out the resolution that we've put together. I'd be interested in having Andre's feedback. I'm going to read half of it en français and then the last half in English. Considérant le projet de loi 96, loi sur langue officielle et commune de Québec, le français présenté à la séance du 13 mai 2021 de l'Assemblée nationale du Québec. Considérant que selon les données tirées du recensement de 2016, 59,4% de la population de Pontiac a l'anglais comme première langue officielle parlée. Considérant que plusieurs municipalités de la MRC de Pontiac bénéficient du statut bilingue, du fait qu'elles rencontrent le seuil établi pour obtenir ce statut, population composée d'au moins 50% plus 1 de citoyens ayant l'anglais comme langue maternelle. Il a proposé par, we'll have someone move this, a resolu that the MRC Pontiac declare the importance for the eligible municipalities of its territory to maintain the bilingual status that was recognized for them under section 29.1 of the Charter of the French Language, that the citizens and the Council of Mayors of the MRC Pontiac consider this recognition to be essential and to reflect the presence and contribution to the development of the MRC of the territory's Francophone and Anglophone communities. That a copy of this resolution be sent to the Minister of Justice of Quebec, to the Minister responsible for the Outaouais region, to the Fédération Québécoise des Municipalités, FQM, to the MNA for Pontiac, Mr. André Fortin, to the Member of Parliament for Pontiac, Mr. Will Amos, and to the local municipalities located on the MRC territory. And we would have the same resolution passed in each of the municipalities. What do you think, Andre? It's fairly short and sweet, not emotional, just do you think it covers everything that we need?
Well, I think it addresses the issue of municipal status on bilingualism. And like I said, the MRC or the municipalities in the MRC Pontiac from the current bill wouldn't lose their bilingual status. But again, it's not impossible that the minister makes the bill harsher along the way. So it's a good signal to send to them to say, listen, we're worried about this. We think it's important to give bilingual services to our citizens. So I think it's a good resolution. Obviously it's in your hands, but I think it's a good resolution.
It's Donnie. I'm just wondering, it has this bill is going to have a big effect on our small businesses. How do we address that?
Yeah, it's mainly going to have a big effect on the businesses that are 26 to 49 employees. And those might be in the Pontiac, they might be grocery stores, they might be hardware stores, they might be, there's a number of them. It has in the past, when government initially brought in Bill 101, it created all sorts of distortions. You had businesses that were 50 employees and up had to do all of these requirements with the Comité de Francisation and whatnot. And you saw some businesses kind of split their business in half and create two separate companies so that they wouldn't have to do all this. It's a long process for them, and it's one that government isn't. Like, government has strict timelines on everything, and my worry is more on the fact that they'll have so much oversight. They're getting $100 million in additional budget. So for them to come in and knock on everybody's door and to see how everybody's doing with this at a speed where small businesses might not have the capacity to operate right now, that's where my worry is. So Donnie, my during the analysis of the bill, we'll obviously look to get maybe a lightened version of what these requirements might be for small business to help them adapt a little bit better. But what to tell them right now, I'm not 100% sure. The one place where it will on small businesses have another significant impact is on hiring practices. If you have to justify every single hire that requires English spoken, I mean, it's going to be a bit of a tedious process, and people will be allowed to make complaints in a very streamlined and easier way. So that'll definitely be tricky. And maybe just to loop back to Sandra and Gilles' questions on healthcare services, if I'm interpreting this correctly, that's the one place where, if, for example, the Outaouais Health Board has to evaluate the linguistic needs of every task, evaluate the linguistic needs of capabilities of others, take every possible step to avoid to avoid bilingual positions or positions that require English. What they might end up doing is say, well, I already have, for example, a nurse on in the emergency room that speaks English. Therefore, I don't need a second one. I can post this French only. And that eventually might lead to Anglophones not getting the services that they need, because the nurses will not speak English. Like that's an example. But if every employer has to prove the necessity every time to hire a person who speaks English, that's where you might find vulnerabilities eventually on coverage or having people who are able to help residents who don't speak French at all times. That's maybe the one place where in healthcare you would have an access is on hiring practices, and therefore, if the health board wants to make it easy on themselves and not go through the process of justifying why it's essential to have an additional nurse in that unit on that day who speaks English, then they might just post French only and get applicants who may not be able to serve people if their colleague isn't available.
Andre,
if that makes sense to everybody.
Perhaps you could make a bit of a pitch. As you know, all business, especially small business, has with all of these red zones open and closed and open and closed. Like there's never been a worse time really to further challenge business. Many businesses have gone out of business. And so, I think that we could ask for some grace, a bit of a phase-in period. It can't just be black and white, drastic change. I heard the Premier saying this is not designed to drive English-speaking people out of Quebec. So I hope that what I wanted to ask you.
Maybe, Jane, but they are trying to drive us out.
Well, I see it differently, Sandra. Actually, Mayor Murray, I see the Pontiac as actually becoming one of the most desirable areas in Quebec to be able to live. We know right now that we're having a population boom across 18 municipalities. A lot of people are coming from Toronto. Chances are their first language is not going to be French. And I think that we need to, as a region, always communicate the fact that everyone is welcome, newcomers to Canada, all languages, that we are inclusive. And with our proximity to Ontario, it's just our historical reality. It's never going to change. If anything, the next census may show that we have first language more people English. However, I'm an English person. I've come here doing my best to become bilingual. I think that we all need to make that effort. I know that there's going to be a lot of money placed into, I think, free lessons to learn French. But what we need to do as an MRC is make sure that our English-speaking population who fully deserve to live and work here are not disadvantaged. And especially with healthcare, I can't think of anything worse than not being able to understand if you've got a diagnosis, and if it's only being communicated, you at least need someone to translate it. So I think we'll start with our resolution, which is just clear about one thing, that we want our bilingual status to remain. And if anything, we also know that we still deserve to have it because it's over 50% first language identified as English. And the next census, which is being taken right now, that number could grow. But we need to be tolerant. We need to encourage people not to be out complaining and telling on each other. We need to help each other with this. And I think there's a lot that our SADC Economic Development will be able to do down the road, and probably will be given money as an MRC to be able to help with translation. But my last question, Andre, how many bilingual regions are there? I mean, that have the status in all of Quebec?
Well, that's a good question, Jane. I heard the number last week, and I want to say about 75, but I'm not
Really?
100% sure. I'm not 100% sure on that.
It was like 3 or 4. I had no idea.
No, on municipalities, like so we would have, I don't know, 15 or so in the Pontiac, but yeah, I'm going by memory, but I'm not sure.
Okay, thanks very much. Are there any other comments or questions? Otherwise, we have yes, go ahead, Mayor Sundstrom.
Is this the first time we are seeing this resolution, or was it sent out before?
No, this is the first time.
So why? I looked on the ID site for the resolution a couple of times.
It only got actually written today, Mayor Sundstrom. There's a reason. We were working with some other MRCs to see what their resolution would be. And actually the one that we have fashioned ours after is another part of Quebec that is 67% identified as English. But I don't want to wait another month. I think it's straightforward, and I would encourage everyone to support it tonight. But it's actually going to your municipalities, so that's where it's going to be voted on.
When you use the word we, who do you mean?
I mean that the 18 mayors will be taking this to their municipalities, and you will vote on them in your municipalities. It's not.
When you use the word we drafted the resolution, who was the we? Because I think we're a council of mayors and we didn't have any input on this.
Yes, well, as you know, most resolutions are drafted by our greffier with some input from often our Director General, pertinent staff, myself. And so I can say that this particular resolution was put together by, we used one from another part of Quebec that said everything we felt it should say, and then we adapted it to personalize it for the MRC Pontiac, putting in our statistics, for example, on from the census 2016. What's your, excuse me, Mayor Sundstrom, why don't you just cut right to the chase and say what your concern is?
Well, I would just say it would be nice if the Council of Mayors had some input on this resolution.
Okay, with that, you have your chance right now. Mayor Armstrong.
Yes. Okay, I thought I was muted. No, Jane, what I was thinking also was, yeah, it could be in sooner than later. I understand that. But at the same time, when it comes to it's not just mayors. I always like to include my council on the decisions. What is written, I think, is very good, but there could be maybe more added to it in certain areas as far as small business, different things like that, that every municipality with their councils would have take a look at this one, and if we feel that there needs to be more added to it, then we add to it. Then it is an MRC council, the mayors and their council being involved in this decision.
Actually, you can each adapt it however you would like and send it in individually. You can each do that. I thought it would be great to have one that was kind of, even though it is based on municipalities, not regions, I thought it would be great to have just a very simple resolution that simply referred to the history, our history with this, asking for it to be reinstated, and just using the only census number we have, which is from 2016. Could I hear from some other mayors? Are other prepared to vote on this tonight, or should we send it all just to your individual municipality?
Could I just make one more point?
Yes.
Please.
Yes, go ahead.
If there was a vote tonight, Jane, and we voted on this one, then we all take it back to our municipalities and we add to it. we're going to have all different stores. Why don't we come up with one that's going to suit everybody,
Okay,
including the
good.
MRC staff and everybody else, and go that route?
Okay, so Mayor Armstrong, you have convinced me that what we should do tonight is simply ask you, we will send this to each of you when you next have a council meeting or plenary, discuss it with your councils, and then we'll come back and we'll look at it again at the June plenary. And then
Thank
we'll vote on it in June. I was concerned because I felt that we were in a rush, but we do have 100 days. So I think that what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
Oh, Jane?
Yes, Mayor
Yeah,
Gann.
just to add what you're saying is that it's not 100 days. You know, like Andre was saying, it might not be adopted before Christmas or shortly before Christmas.
Yeah, good point.
So, you know, we talked about businesses, schooling, services. So I agree with John that, you know, there's a lot more serious points to be added to this. You know, it's fine.
Andre,
for the first draft.
Did the premier not say something about 100 days? I heard something about that.
After it's adopted.
Yeah, it's Alain is right. It's the after the bill is adopted, municipalities who would have their bilingual status revoked would have 120 days at that point to pass a motion. But after it's adopted, so you would at that moment in time you'd lose. Well, not you, but some municipalities might lose their bilingual status, and then they'd have 120 days to pass a resolution to bring it back. But they don't. But you can absolutely send a signal to the government now, in a month, in 2 months, in 6 months. But that requirement to keep the bilingual status only comes in after the bill's adopted.
Okay, well, I guess I'm just a little too enthusiastic about this, but what we will do is we will take this as it stands tonight, because it's, you know, what we have, and we send this out to each of your municipalities, and then we'll bring it back. We'll put it on the June plenary, and we'll take our time and do it properly. Any other comments? Everyone in agreement with that?
I just can I go back to Andre for a minute with regards to the health system? We had quite a concern with regards to Quebec losing a lot of nurses, and the reason was that they would not allow them to write their exams in English, and we lost a lot of good people because of that. And I'm just thinking it's something that you might want to mention to the government. If they're really strict on continuing with this, we could lose a lot of services in the health system with regards to getting new nurses on board.
Well, this would be an issue for sure. And you're right, we're losing nurses for a ton of reasons. Ontario's offering $10,000 as a bonus or a signature bonus and other items. But in terms of that specific requirement, nurses would have to pass their or to prove to their professional order that they do speak French. So a unilingual nurse would be almost a thing of the past here.
Yes.
With this bill. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Point.
Thank you.
If I may add something, if I may just add something quickly on that, Andre.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Even if they do their nursing in English and have a bilingual certificate coming out of English CEGEP, they have to pass their main nursing exam in French. That hasn't changed,
Yeah, exactly. You can't get your you can't be approved by the order, whether it's the order of architects, nurses, doctors, whatever it might be, unless you prove to them that you can communicate in French.
Correct. Thank you.
Any other comments while Andre's with us? Okay, Andre, thank you very much for the time you've given us tonight. Really generous, and you're our best expert on this. So you were able to answer a lot of questions. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And if anybody has any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be happy to chat to you individually or come back as things progress on this. And if there's any major changes.
And you'll be getting a copy of whatever it is that we vote on. You're on the list.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andre.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Okay, we will go to number 10, the warden's report. So in the past month, since the last council meeting, I met with Guy Chasson just to discuss a bit of preparation for the Lac à l'Épaule. I was part of a press conference with the CISO on the eclosion that took place in the Pontiac. We had a CPO meeting, planning with our staff for the Lac à l'Épaule, a pandemic meeting, which, as you know, I have one a week, and it involves the MNAs, the other wardens, and the CISO and public security, and Dr. Pinar. Martin Joannès and Monsieur Séguin came to speak to me concerning a tourism idea, the board meeting of the CFP, Pékinock, a meeting about Lac du Mont with Chantal Lamarche, Jason and Marc Soulière, meeting with the CISO and André Fortin, the AGA for Chute Calunge, the FRR1 meeting with Chantal Lamarche, Consultative Committee Vision 2030, a meeting with Denny Rossignol to discuss the forestry school, Yvon Mignot, a visit to his mill, Ferrand Mill, Joey Newhoff with Covanta to discuss energy from waste in Europe, Javelco, forestry meeting with potential investors at the MRC, Lac à l'Épaule, which you all participated in from 9 to 12:30 on a Saturday a few weeks ago, where our topic was forestry. A webinar for mobiliser et utiliser les MRC et les municipalités pour mieux encadrer les milieux récréatifs pour le port du casque chez nos jeunes. Another pandemic meeting, about the internet haute vitesse for all of you. A workshop I attended on mental health, a committee of investment, fundraising committee for CPAWS, Ottawa River Waterway meeting, 45-minute presentation, which I gave in French to Benoit Charette, who is the Minister of the Environment, and I was accompanied by André Fortin and Emmanuel Géhin, who advises the cabinet of the LeCat government on the environment. Another pandemic meeting, our plenary, the AGA for Piscine Pontiac, the FCM Standing Committee on increasing women's participation in municipal government, the Regroupement des Communautés Forestières, the Volet 1 FRR with the CPO, an interview with Rob Snow with Che Radio in Ottawa about the bill we were just discussing, another pandemic meeting, human resources meeting, CPO with Abitibi and Temiskaming with the Minister of Transportation today. And that concludes my report. We're now going to go to the announcements. If any of you have any events or just public announcements you'd like to make on behalf of your municipality, we'll go down the attendance list and we'll start with Mayor Sundstrom. Go ahead.
Nothing to report.
Okay, Mayor.
Nothing to report.
Mayor Orr.
Nothing to report.
Mayor Gagnon. You have something to report because I saw everybody out cleaning up in the pouring rain for Bryson.
Oh, sorry.
Gagnon? Mayor Alain Gagnon.
No, there was a noise there. I didn't hear my name. No, not this month.
No, but why don't you talk about what happened with your cleanup?
Oh yeah, we had about 30 volunteers that showed up and they went through all the streets and even the 148.
Yeah.
And picked up a third of our garbage truck of garbage in the ditch. There's only one thing we could not pick up. We found a car engine in the ditch.
A car engine?
Yeah.
Well, you'll make an arrangement to get that.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mayor Gagnon. No, okay. That was amazing, and literally it was pouring rain.
Yes, it was.
I thought to myself, I don't know what incentive you used to get all of those people out there, but it worked.
We like the clean town.
Yes, you do. Mayor Beauregard.
All quiet for this one.
Okay. Mayor Donnie Gagnon.
Nothing to report.
Mayor John Armstrong.
Nothing to report.
Mayor Debbie Laporte.
Nothing to report.
Mayor Serge Newberry.
Nothing to report.
Pro-Warden Kim Cartier-Villeneuve,
Nothing to report.
Mayor Gilles Dion,
Nothing to report, just the usual CHIP bingos, one on Monday, one on Thursday. For the Knights of Columbus, so don't forget to play.
Okay, thank you very much. Mayor Lynn Cameron,
Nothing to report.
Mayor James Gibson,
Nothing for this month, but two events in July. July 10th, it's the car show. And July 22nd, the health team is coming back to give their second vaccination to everyone in the village.
wow, how many did you vaccinate the first time?
86.
Excellent, good for you. Mayor Sandra Murray,
Yes, I'd like to report that the Shovel RA are going to run their summer camp this year. Last year it was canceled because of COVID-19, and with safety measures in place, they're going to run their camp, and I'm very pleased about that.
Mayor Murray, I have a question for you. Given the recent announcement, it said summer festivals will be on, I guess, with a cap of 2,500 people. Is there any talk of Shawville Festival, or have they already announced that they're not?
They had already announced that they're not, and it's a little too late to get all the entertainment.
Yes, exactly. And it would be hard to limit the numbers to 2,500.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Maris Doris Ronje. Mayor Doris Ronje.
Nothing to report.
Mayor Colleen LaRiviere.
Nothing to report.
Mayor Karen Kelly.
Nothing to report.
Mayor David Rochon.
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you very much. As things open up, I know we'll have more to report in the future. So we have some questions from the public, which I will just read out. And here they are. Actually, I don't want to delay us. Travis, can you please read each question out? Say who has sent it in and read out the question, and then I'll answer.
Yeah, for sure. First question was received by Madame France Lavoie, and the question was written in French. So, comment les municipalités peuvent-elles collaborer ensemble afin de donner la chance à tous les citoyens du Pontiac de profiter des nombreux services gratuits du réseau biblio?
Okay, parfait. And so j'ai l'opportunité de parler avec Madame Lavoie, et à ce moment, je conduis une recherche des municipalités avec les bibliothèques, et peut-être pour le mois juin, nous reporterons. So we're going to take a look. I've spoken to Mayor Beauregard, and he had some excellent information that I was unaware of. As we know, some of our libraries have closed, and France Lavoie is very concerned and thinks that we should look at trying to reopen them. And so through Cindy Phillips and her team, we're going to do a bit of research and just see what would be involved, what were the circumstances for closing them. And so it is something that will be looked into and reported back in June. Next question.
Yes, the next question was received by Ms. Sue Brennan, who I believe resides in the West Pontiac area. And this is a question that was more specifically intended for Mayor Donald Gagnon. So we did send the question to Mr. Gagnon, and I believe this question will be addressed by the local council in Chichester. The question pertained more specifically to the dump site in Chichester, and also the work that's done by staff in regards to the garbage and recycle bins. And I'm not sure if Mr. Gagnon wishes to intervene, but I do believe that they have the intent of basically looking into this question and also responding to Ms. Brandon.
Yes, I'd like to address. It's that question should be, when a question like that comes in, it should be referred to the municipality because it's a municipal issue, and it should be addressed by the municipality, which we will address. But the first time we were aware of it is when we got it from Travis. And I got it this morning.
Mayor Gagnon, that's because it comes in through the MRC website. All the e-questions come in that way, but I agree with you. When it pertains just to one municipality, it will be sent to you. And so you just got it. We're not expecting you to report and give an answer tonight, and you'll get in touch with the individual.
Yes, we will.
Thank you very much. Okay, next question, Travis.
Yes, the next question was in fact a series of questions from Ms. Taylor, and I believe, Madam Warden, that you wish to respond to these questions, at least in the part.
Just give each question and I'll give the answer.
Yeah, so all of the questions are about, I believe, the COVID situation in the MRC. So the first sub-question reads, the COVID cases were fairly contained during 2020, but since vaccinations have started, the cases have increased dramatically. What reasons does the CIS give for this dramatic rise? And how many of these cases are breakthrough cases or from viral shedding recognized by the Quebec Vaccine Injury Compensation Program?
Well, I can say that the rise of cases occurred before we started vaccinating, and it was spread within the community. And a lot of it was unfortunately at the schools, and then people coming home, children coming home to their families. But the main reason is that the variant, the UK variant, which is highly contagious, that was what really caused our numbers to increase. But the person is correct, we didn't have a single case from last March until September, and it grew very slowly at that point. But you know, through the winter, things augmented, and thankfully now they have tapered back down. Next question.
So how did COVID cases get into the Shawville Hospital? Were these people already admitted in the hospital when they contracted the virus? We've been told since the beginning of the pandemic that anyone needing to be hospitalized would be sent to Gatineau. So what has changed? And does that mean you're no longer required to be sent to Gatineau for hospitalization?
We've been protecting, the CISO have been protecting our Pontiac Hospital, keeping it as a green zone. The only reason why we had with the eclosion and then shortly afterwards, I think up to at least 12 patients with COVID in the Pontiac Hospital is because they were full to capacity in Gatineau, and we had to keep them locally, but they were completely segregated from other patients. But unfortunately, again, it was the UK variant, which was highly contagious. But no one is hospitalized at this point. And from now on, we would send any cases of positive that needed to be hospitalized to Gatineau. Is that the end of those questions?
No, I believe there were two other questions, Madam Warden.
Okay.
Would like me to proceed? Yes. We were told that restrictions would be lifted on the 10th of May, but are now not to be lifted until the 17th in the information your office released. And I quote, due to the favorable evolution of the situation in several regions of Quebec. What is the explanation for the extra week of restrictions if the situation is favorable? And what data was the extra time based on?
Well, all the decisions have been made on the Outaouais as a whole region and not just the MRC Pontiac. And actually, the MRC Pontiac, around the time that this person wrote her questions, I think we were experiencing our highest numbers, certainly in especially Mansfield, Fort Collonges, and Shawville. And so there was, you know, changing of time just to be conservative and careful. But now we know that some new dates have just been, you know, it's all been updated. And so now we know when we're going into the orange, into the yellow, into the green. Any other questions?
Yeah, the fourth and last question reads, my last question, I'm not sure if you are allowed to answer for medical confidential reasons, but being the push to vaccinate has been so public, I think it's a legitimate question to ask exactly how many people have now been vaccinated in the region and how many people have yet to vaccinate to date. Have we reached herd immunity in the region through vaccinations, infections, or when is this expected?
Well, that is something I was going to report on a bit later, but I can report on it right now. We are actually at 61%. We're aiming for 75% by June 24th. We're actually behind the rest of the Outaouais. The other regions are higher than we are. And there is a major concern because in 3 municipalities in particular, which are L'Île-aux-Alumettes, Waltham, and Portage de Fort, we see that people are not keeping up with the appointments that they need to be making, especially in the age groups of 40 to 55 and 18 to 30. In terms of 18-year-olds to, say, 20, there's only 14% that have made appointments. And so it's thought that for those 3 municipalities, we will use our mobile vaccination unit. This is what the CISO have told me. And we just need to do our very best job. Please, each mayor in your municipalities with your councils, we need to encourage all friends, neighbors, family to get their vaccination. The first vaccination, because basically this is how it's going to work. With the Premier making the announcement of so much freedom this summer, we will only be able to have that if we reach the 75%. And he has said that once you've had the second vaccination, you don't need to wear a mask, you don't need to distance the 2 meters. And it's just very important that we encourage everybody. You know, maybe some people think now that there aren't as many cases that it's not important to be vaccinated. There's a new variant from India that is now starting to come into Quebec. And we know that after 1 vaccination, we can still get the virus. And it's only after the second vaccination that you're 90% protected. So tonight, I want to make a real pitch to everybody in the Pontiac. Please make your appointment and have your vaccination. We need to catch up right now, the MRC Pontiac does, and in particular, the 3 mayors of the municipalities I just mentioned. Okay, was there another question from another person, Travis?
No, we've gone through the list.
That's it? Okay, very good. Thank you very much, everyone. And so the next topic, 13, the coronavirus follow-up. I've already made the speech about vaccinations and what we need to do, but I do just want to reiterate that May 31st, we're going from red to orange, June 14th, from orange to yellow, June 28th, the MRC Pontiac is going from yellow to green. Green is still vigilant. Green isn't like back to normal as we knew normal. May 28th, the end of the curfew. Right now our curfew is 9:30. We can also, after May 28th, move from region to region. It's authorized. However, I don't think that includes Ontario because as far as I know, unless there's been a new announcement that someone has heard, Premier Ford has said June 2nd. Before maybe the OPP will finish protecting their border. Commercial terraces can open May 28th, June 25th for those who've received 2 shots of the vaccine, no more obligation to wear masks and distance 2 meters. And August 25th, schools will be entirely open. Bernard, would you like to make a quick report on moving forward, what you're hoping to do with staff at the MRC?
Yeah, yes, for sure. Yesterday, I listened to what the Premier said, to what were the measures he announced. And I perceive a really an optimistic tone, and we'll start here at the MRC to work on scenarios ensuring that transition in order to recover from a more normal situation later in this summer. I think it's time to start to plan it. And if everything goes well, I think somewhere in August, July, there's also holidays in July. So we have to plan now and be ready for a normal situation later this summer.
Any questions for Bernard on that or comments? Okay, I just remembered there was another question. It was from Pat Guyette. Pat Guyette asked, in the interest of transparency, if the recorded Lac-a-les Paul could be shared with the public. So here is my answer. The Lac-a-les Paul is something that is organized to give the Council of Mayors the opportunity to have in-depth discussion. It was only recorded this year because it was done by Zoom. Our previous 2 meetings were not recorded because we were able to meet face-to-face and in person. And a question was asked about how this would be used at the beginning of the meeting. And the mayors were assured that this is not going to be shared. There was nothing confidential when I think back on it, but we are going to have an action plan that comes out, and that is going to be discussed at the Forestry Committee, and then it will be going to the council meeting in June. And at that point, I suppose you could say the information from the Lac-a-les Paul will be known, because it will include many things that we discussed. And another thing that was done at the Lac-a-les Paul, we had 2 or 3 speakers, and they were not told at the time when they spoke that this information was going to be shared with the public. So really, there's nothing non-transparent about this. We just need an opportunity once a year to have in-depth discussion. Okay, so finances, Bernard Waugh.
Yes.
Our treasurer is absent at the moment, and so Bernard Waugh is making the report.
Yeah, first of all, statement of income of the MRC, quickly. Total revenue, 2 million, dated on May 17th. So total revenues to 2,921,998. This is 35% of what was in the budget. What is in the budget? Expenses, total expenses, 2,113,311. Also, 33% of the budget, which represent a surplus on May 17th of 808,687. So this is the statement of incomes. If I go to the receivable, and now again, quite quickly, receivables are mostly subvention to receive, subvention, shares, reimbursement of loans. We have an amount of 1,422,666 to receive. More in detail, and I'll just ask if you can open the attached document. I will go to the payables. So payables, the amount now are 138,942. It consists, if you check, take a look, we'll see FQM 10,599. This is the evaluator. It's a monthly Journal of Pontiac, many ads. Some are for tourism, 5,448. Which I see, Lefebvre Tremblay Larocque, this is the legal advisor. It's a long invoice. It's more than 60 days. So it's we ask him for many consultation and information and advises a few months ago. Martin Bertrand, it's about safety equipment for boats, for the boats, for sauvetage nautique. PG Solutions, so assessment, 24,124. Sortir du bois, it's about some works are done done now, are to be done in L'Oiseau Rock. So we receive a first invoice of 13,000, and Visage Régionaux, by it's about territorial marketing and Vision Pontiac 2030. So, so the total is again 138,942. And if we go now to the checks, an amount of 157,769. And mostly what you see there, this is salaries, payment to service received, and grant to deliver, so to some certains bénéficiaires. So yeah, Raymond Barrette is salaries. When you see Solution DC, it's the service provider for the FAR project as a business attraction, investor attraction. Yeah, that SPC, it's our agreement with the organization. And what else? I think it's quite, it's okay. And a quick look to the result, mine and the one with for Tyler, Travis. So Canadian Tire equipment for the inspector before we hired the last two ones. So it was in April. What else? When I don't know. But Microsoft, you see Microsoft, you see also Screen Connect, all our devices or equipment for software for our worker. So the total for the credit card is 1,984. And if we take a look to Travis card, last one. Yes, mostly it is, you know, the videos we produce for attracting families and people to come and live in Pontiac. There were 4 video produced. It is part of a FAR project. It will be reimbursed for the major part, but mostly the expenses on that card for April, May was to produce those videos. So the total is $4,488 and I think 55 cents. So we need a resolution. There's no expenses, travel expenses for you elected official, but we need a resolution to adopt account to be paid and the checks to be made. So to amount of $138,942 and the second amount $158,769.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bernard. Could I have someone move this resolution? Moved
Sandra.
by Mayor Murray. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries.
I have a question.
Bernard. Pardon me, question?
Yeah, it's for Serge, Jane.
Yes, I know. Mayor Newberry, yes, go ahead.
So I have a question about le règlement là, pour la délégation pour les paiements. On avait parlé avant, Bernard.
We find the bylaw. It's a bylaw that was adopted by the MRC in 1989. So there's, I don't have it. We were supposed to present it in May at the plenary, but because Annie was not available, it will be presented in June. And mostly what it is written in that bylaw is that everything that is already in the budget and up to the amount mentioned in the budget, we can make those payments. There's some dépenses incompressibles, j'ai le terme en français, that we have to do, and we don't have to wait the probation of the council to do that. and it is conditional to the numbers that are in the budget and up to the numbers that are mentioned in the budget.
Et,
Go ahead.
Puis il n'y a pas aucune intention comme de la renouveler ou de la mettre à jour. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous la transférer, nous l'envoyer? Puis ma deuxième question, c'était sur parce que avant, c'était le comité administratif qui faisait les vérifications. Parce que moi, en 3 ans, Bernard, j'ai jamais vu une question de précision sur les chiffres qui nous sont présentés. Ça, ces vérifications-là, plus en détail, se faisaient dans le comité d'administration qui a été annulé là, en début de mandat. Alors, qui fait des vérifications s'il n'y a jamais un maire qui a posé une question en 3 ans et demi?
I think it is a question that we can on peut y répondre là, au prochain plénier. Je pense que c'est à la place pour en discuter. Le conseil d'administration, c'est une décision du conseil de ne pas le renouveler l'année dernière. Là, on avait un projet là-dessus. But just wait. The best place to discuss about it is at the plenary first. We will present it. We will table the current bylaw at the next plenary. We were supposed to do that in May. I told you why we were not able to do that. We will do it in June. And if there's any request you have as a council, as member of this council, just address the staff and we will find a solution for that.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Mayor Newberry. Thanks, Bernard. So we'll move the resolution to accept this report. All those in favor? All those in favor? You're moving it, Mayor Gibson. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. So we'll now go on to the evaluation, assessment, the equilibration of the assessment rule. Bernard, we need a resolution.
Yeah, the evaluator, as you know, the evaluator sent his recommendations regarding the equilibration of assessment role for the next 3-year cycle, 2022, 2023, and 2024. In response to these recommendations, the MRC, the staff already received a resolution from 3 municipalities which accept to proceed. Those municipalities are Otter Lake, Chichester, and Waltham. We will need a resolution to authorize the evaluator to realize the equilibration in those 3 municipalities. We are still waiting for 3 other municipalities, Alumet, Litchfield, and Lakewood, and Torrance already said yes, but we didn't receive yet the resolution. And in June, if we receive those resolutions, we will adopt again the same resolution, but for those 4 municipalities. But June is really the limit because the first deadline is September the 15th, and we have this year 14 equilibration to do. It's a lot. So just be prepared to accept an extension to November the 1st. But here again, even if it's November the 1st, it's a huge contract to do this year for the evaluator.
Okay, any questions or comments? Mayor Donny Gagnon? I think you're muted, Mayor Gagnon.
I'll make the resolution.
Okay, thank you very much. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. We'll go on to... Yes, Mayor Armstrong. Hello.
Yeah, Jane, I just had a phone call pertaining to the coming events that some of their people had contacted the president of the fair board. They're planning to have a fair this fall. It's not going to be the size that it was. It's going to be downsized. But as far as everything progresses now with being green, as far as they're concerned, with contact with the government, if things stay the same, they will be having a shovel fair, not to the extent it was, but there would be something for the public to go out and mingle.
Excellent. That's great news. And it makes sense. Maybe more of an agricultural rather than all the bands and lots of people. So that's great. I'm sure Mayor Murray will be delighted with that too. Thank you. That was worth that announcement. Okay, we're going to go to 15.2, replacement Connexion Fib Pickenock, the CFP board. Resolution, Bernard?
Yes, as you know, as I step down from my position as president of the board of CFP, Connexion Fib-Pickenock, I would also like you to appoint a new member to sit on the board of CFP. There's 2 members from the MRC Pontiac. The other member is Annie Vaillancourt. On the other side, there's also 2 members from Vallée-la-Gatineau. And at the moment, the 2 members sitting on the board from Vallée-la-Gatineau are 2 elected officials. So I just ask if someone is interested to sit on that board.
Yeah, I think Bernard's point is very important. Now that we have 2 elected people on Valley de la Gatineau, we do need to have someone elected representing MRC Pontiac. So is there anyone who is interested to sit on the board? How many meetings is it each year?
It depends, but maybe 6 to 8. Each 2 months, there's an AGM also to be held. And the context for the next month is different from what we experienced a year ago or 2 years ago.
Okay.
Internet is developing now, but and there's a new niche to be defined by the board. What will be the role of CFP for the future, for the next year?
And when is the next meeting? You said it's in a month?
No, I have no date. No date had been mentioned to me.
Okay, is there anyone who would be willing to serve on this board? Well, maybe not tonight, but we are going to work on this. Thank you.
But if not an elected official, I know someone from the staff is also
Yes,
available.
I know. You
Okay.
just thought you were suggesting. Okay. Very good. Maybe we'll have further discussion at our next plenary. 15 point. So there's no resolution because we're not nominating anyone. 15.3, public transit, Transport Action Pontiac, a resolution, Bernard.
Yeah, MRC Pontiac has been offering regional public transit services since 2010. Despite the pandemic in 2020, the Transport Action provided 6,138 trips for people here in the Pontiac. MRC Pontiac financially supports the organization and will contribute in 2021 for the amount of $25,000. So we are asking the MTQ by this resolution to also contribute for an amount of $100,000 for the maintenance of public transportation for the year 2021. We do it each year, and we have to do it now in May for year 2021.
Could I have someone move this resolution, please, for 25,000? Moved by?
Aline. Aye.
Moved by Mayor LaRiviere. You're on the Transport Action Board, I think. Are you?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. All those in favor? All opposed? That carries. Thank you. 15.4, funding of the MRC Pontiac sectoral agreement, Outaouais Regional Assembly of CPO. Resolution, Bernard.
Yes, this resolution is really a technical issue. The financial contribution of the MRC Pontiac, the amount is $34,000, and we adopt a resolution for that last January. The CPO is also financed by a sectoral agreement provided or signed with the MAMASH. And in this sectoral agreement, there's some amount that are fixed and mentioned in the agreement and has to come from the MRC. So, and in that agreement, the numbers mentioned is $11,000 and 335. So, but it is part of the $34,000. So we need now a resolution to adopt tonight, and that will explicitly mention that the amount of $11,335 will come from the 34,000 that we already adopt for that in January, and this amount, $11,335, will be exclusively used for honoring the financial obligation according to the sectoral agreement we signed, the CPO signed with the MAMASH.
Okay.
It just to be have someone an indication that in that $34,000 there's an amount of $11,000 that is to honor the agreement with the MASH.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Could I have someone move the resolution, please? Moved by Serge Newberry, Mayor Newberry. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. 15.5, the fees applicable to the process of sale of immovables for non-payment of taxes, year 1 of 3, 2021. Bernard, a resolution.
Yes. A resolution to announce what will be the fee for year 2021. So, Maître Beaulieu, RPGL, the fee is 400. The MRC fee and all disbursement altogether represent $340. The total before tax is $740, and when we include the tax, the total fee will be $854.32.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Could I have someone move the resolution, please? Moved by Mayor Alain Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. We'll go on to the nomination of Assistant Secretary Treasurer, sale of immovables for non-payment of taxes. Same thing, or it's another resolution?
It's another resolution, and we previously last month named Marie-Josée Beaulieu as our specialist for the process of tax sales. She will do some acts. She has to do some acts. For example, the signature of related document, and those acts usually are done by the Secretary Treasurer or the DG of the MRC. So we do it each year, but this resolution is to propose is to appoint Marie-Josée Beaulieu as Assistant Secretary Treasurers for the sale of immovables for non-payment of taxes for year 2021. Because it's an agreement of 3 years, to year 2023, and it will allow her to do some acts she will have to do in order to complete the process.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Could I have someone move that resolution, please?
Doris,
Moved by Mayor Doris Ranger. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 15.7, tax sales delays in the reimbursement of the sums owed to municipalities. Bernard, resolution. And this was brought by Mayor Alain Gagnon.
Yeah. And just before that, can I just remind you that tax sales auction will be September 9th, 2021. But also we need a resolution from the municipalities because the counter will start in mid-June. We need your resolution for the immovable that you want to send for tax sales in the beginning of June. So it's important just not forget that. Yes, delays in tax sales process. If I read mainly what is written, since many years, significant processing delays occurred in the preparation of the judgment of collocation related to immovables sold at auction for non-payment of taxes. And considering the importance of those amounts that in many cases are still due, and considering that these delays necessarily impact the cash flow of the for the municipalities, it is proposed three things. First, that to request that an additional employee at the Ministry of Justice in Gatineau be designated for the processing of files in the Ottawa region. Second, to ask the FQM to claim from the Ministry of Justice the need to ensure an accelerated processing of the files of sales for non-payment of taxes and a timely reimbursement of the due sums. And finally, to transmit this resolution to the MRCs of the Outaouais and all of the Quebec, to the minister responsible for the Ottawa region and for the MNA for Pontiac.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Could I have someone move this resolution, please? Moved by Marilyn Gagnon. Thanks for bringing it. All those in favor, opposed, and that carries. 15.8, we have a resolution. Résolution de concordance et de courte échéance relativement à un emprunt par billet au montant de $159,300 qui sera réalisé le 25 mai 2021. Resolution, Bernard?
Yeah, but as you, just a second. It concerns a financial note to be renewed. The amount is $159,300, and it was initially borrowed to finance the renovation of the building in 2015. So it has to be renewed for a term of 4 years and 5 months. This resolution, we have two resolutions. This first one is to propose that the borrowing bylaw 208-2015 be financed by notes in accordance with the following. So first one, notes will be dated May 25th, 2021. Interest will be payable semi-annually on May 25th and November 25th each year. The note will be signed by the warden and the secretary treasurers. The note in terms of principal will be reimbursed as indicated in this table. You have it, so it's from 2022 to 2026. And that with regards to the annual amortization of capital plan for year 2027 and following. I'm reading what is just below the table. The term provided for in borrowing bylaw number 28-2015 be shorter than the one originally set. That is to say, for a 5-year term starting May 25th, instead of the prescribed term for said amortization, each subsequent issue having to be for the balance of or part of the balance due to on the loan.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Mayor Gibson.
Previously, Mayor Beauregard suggested that we might take this money from the surplus rather than paying all this interest. Has this been looked into?
Yeah, I mentioned that at the plenary that maybe it was late. I asked the question. I didn't receive yet. I asked 2 questions to the Mamash, and I didn't receive the answers for that.
Okay.
Okay, so you will receive it and you will be letting us know.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Could someone move this resolution, please? Moved by Mayor Lynn Cameron. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 15.9, the adjudication resolution, Bernard.
Yeah, this resolution, as you see, we received two bids for the renewal of the loan, and one was from Caisse Desjardins bearing an interest of 1.99, And the second one from Financière Banque Nationale, and the interest was 2.02896. And the best one, the best bid was the one from Caisse Desjardins. So we have to vote on an adjudication resolution which confirms the lowest bid and the conformity of the process. You have the wording there. So that the original DDMRC accept the offer by Caisse Desjardins du Pontiac. And it dated, it will start on May 25th. The amount is $159,300. It is related to bylaw number 2208-2015. And yeah, but it's maturing in 5 years. Exactly, it's in 4 years and 5 months. And that's what we have to adopt tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, could I have a resolution, please? Moved by Mayor Maurice Beauregard. All those in favor, opposed, and that carries. And I believe you're finished, Bernard.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we'll now go to our Director of Economic Development, Cindy Phillips. Hi, Cindy.
Good evening.
We'll start with 16.1, the Investment Committee recommendations, a resolution. Go ahead.
Yes, so these are the recommendations stemming from the regular meeting of the Investment Committee, which was held on May 5th. And it is a recommendation for 4 grants as follows. MRCCI 2021-0505 in the amount of $50,000. MRCCI 2021-0506 in the amount of $31,250. MRCCI 2021-0507 in the amount of $28,000. And MRCCI 2021-0508 in the amount of $37,500. And there is also one further recommendation to revise an existing grant, changing the grant amount from $25,000 to $25,176.52. Those are the recommendations coming to council stemming from the meeting held on May the 5th.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, could I have someone move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Gilles Dion. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. We'll go to 16.2.1, donations and sponsorships, Pontiac Artists Association, a resolution. Cindy Phillips.
Yes, we have received a request from the Pontiac Artists Association. The request is for a donation of $500 in order for them to purchase an air conditioner. The gallery on the second floor of the Stone School in Portage du Fall is surrounded by large windows, and the sun comes in, and despite the curtains that have been installed, the temperature in the room becomes unbearable in the summer months. And the room is a favorite of the artists. It is a well-lit, beautiful space, and during events, the room can certainly reach high temperatures. And so you have a recommendation for you to approve a donation in the amount of $500 to the Pontiac Artists Association for the purchase of an air conditioner for the Stone School.
Okay, could I have someone move this resolution? Moved
Sandra
by
Murray.
Mayor Murray. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. 16.3, recommendation COVID-19 financial aid, a resolution. Cindy Phillips.
Yes. The pandemic has had a significant impact on the municipalities, including financial losses and unforeseen expenses. And so the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing had made it possible to compensate all Quebec municipalities with an additional aid envelope of $80 million for the MRCs. And this funding may be used for such things as digital and telecommunication infrastructures, day camps, libraries, or other such services, to basically act at the regional level to assist organizations or businesses particularly affected by the pandemic. The MRC Pontiac has received an amount of $879,829. And so tonight you have a first recommendation being put forward. Our local summer camps have had a difficult time since the pandemic began. Many of these camps were not eligible for the funding that was made available last year, and costs have increased due to smaller group sizes, which will be allowed for this season. The Sports and Leisure Commissioner, Ms. Sabrina Ayers, has contacted all of the organizations that will be operating camps this summer to determine their needs for this season. And it was announced last night that day camps are approved to begin as of June 25th. And so you have a resolution before you to approve the first allotment under the COVID-19 funding in a total amount of $104,000 to the organizations named below that will be offering day camps this summer. It is equally proposed that I act as signatory to the agreements with the organizations. And so the recommendations are Le Patro, $13,000, Le Jardin Éducatif, $20,000, Maison des Jeunes in Rapide des Joachim, $8,000, the Municipalité de Alain-Kewood, $20,000, the Charleville RA, $20,000, the Chapeau RA, $20,000, and the Norway Bay Municipal Association, $3,000.
Very good. Could I have someone move this resolution? Moved by Mayor John Armstrong. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. The recommendations for the Creative Development Fund, 16.4 resolution, Cindy Phillips.
Yes. As part of the spring launch of the Creative Development Fund, we opened applications between April 6th and May 7th, and the Cultural Analysis Committee met on May 14th to evaluate the applications that had been received. They were received through three components. Component one being collaborative projects. Two were received. One from Mr. Maxime Galland from Fort Clunge, who's a singer-songwriter. The project was a launch of Maxime de Wild's first album, and this project aimed to create the visuals for the album. The second was from Tyson Berger from Île aux Allumettes for the Heart of the Valley documentary project. And this is a full-length documentary on ordinary people from the Ottawa Valley. Under component two, there were two applications received. A second application from Maxime Galland. This project is for a concert by Maxime at Cafe Downtown in Fort Clunge, being co-produced and broadcast by Chip FM. The second application was from the Pontiac Artists Association, and the project is a series of preview evenings, of 3 preview evenings, being held on June 11th, June 16th, and August 20th for 3 separate exhibitions. And the third component was the creation component, and we received 1 application from Philip Smith from Bristol, who's a professional artist. The project is Sticks and Stones. He's currently creating his work for exhibition at the 2021 Canadian Sculptors Festival. And in order to work more efficiently, he's looking to purchase a specific piece of equipment. And lastly, we had a one-time component, COVID-19 pandemic aid for centers and galleries. We received an application from the Pontiac Artists Association to help offset some of their losses due to the pandemic. And so after the meeting of the analysis committee, you have a resolution before you tonight to adopt the recommendations and distribute 3 grants of $750 each as follows. Under component 2, to Maxime Galland, $750. To l'Association des Artistes du Pontiac, the Pontiac Artists Association, $750. Under component 3, creation, Philip Smith, $750. And it is further proposed to award the grant of $250 for the exceptional component for COVID assistance to the Pontiac Artists Association. There you have the recommendations as proposed by the Cultural Analysis Committee.
Can I ask you a question? So the total fund is $5,000, correct? So is there still money left over to be used for other opportunities this year for artists?
Yes, we decided to split the fund and then do a spring call and a fall call for projects. And so we will be issuing a fall call, which is why I stipulated that the COVID special amount was unique to the spring call for projects.
I just want to thank you, Cindy, and your committee. And I also want to thank all of the mayors for supporting this endeavor, because it was from the AGA of the Pontiac Artists Association last year that I offered to create this fund through the MRC. And I'm delighted actually that we have such a variety, the musicians as well. So well done. And I think especially with the COVID, it's greatly appreciated. And thanks to all the mayors for supporting this. So we need a resolution moved by Mayor Debbie Laporte. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Thank you. Now we go to adoption of the signature innovation FRR Stream 3. Cindy Phillips.
Yes, this is the adoption of the signature innovation under Stream 3 of the Regions and Rurality Fund. The objective of this component is to support the MRC within the framework of a development niche which would be specific to our entire territory, which would gain in importance through the realization of either one major overall project or through a series of connected projects. The amount awarded to the MRC by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing is $1,041,665 over a 5-year period, or $208,333 per year. The criteria when choosing our signature innovation include to look at it looks somewhat like a sectoral agreement. It has a mandatory management committee, which will include members from the MRC and from the ministry. There's the rule of coordination of Quebec funding at 80%, which applies. The duration is for 5 years, and the deadline to commit funds is December 31st, 2024, and the deadline for spending funds is December 31st, 2025. So a presentation was made to the Regional Council of Mayors to explain the program, the requirements of the program, and to present several options to consider as the Pontiac signature innovation. The 3 potential themes that were proposed were forestry, culture, and entrepreneurship. And it was important to choose a signature that would, number 1, have an impact on all the municipalities in the Pontiac. Number 2, that could be tied to and work in concert with other plans, such as our strategic development plan and our territorial marketing project. And number 3, that would garner support across the territory. So the signature theme of entrepreneurship offers several key benefits, such as the fact that there's an entrepreneurial subculture that already exists on the territory, and we have the ability to nourish and grow an entrepreneurial culture here. It has the potential to impact all 18 municipalities across all sectors: agriculture, tourism, outdoor recreation, forestry, culture, entrepreneurship can have an impact on all of them. It's been identified by Visage Réunion as an important strategy in the development of the Pontiac, and it's been noted as a potentially integral part of our identity as we move forward with our territorial marketing campaign. It meets the ministry's requirement that a strong territorial identity be centered around our development vision. And we've had preliminary validation with key partners such as the SADC, as well as with the ministry, which has been favorable. And also, I just want to add that the timing is right with the addition of our 2 resources under Accès Entreprise Québec. And so therefore, considering all of these facts, you have a resolution before you tonight to adopt entrepreneurship as our intervention area as the signature innovation in the framework of Stream 3 of the FRR.
Okay, I think Mayor Newberry has a comment or question. Go ahead.
Ouais, comme j'ai dit pendant le plénier, moi je suis un peu déçu qu'on a choisi l'entrepreneuriat pour notre signature innovation qui est supposé de nous permettre de développer une identité territoriale forte. Alors, comment l'entrepreneuriat va nous aider à développer notre identité?
Cindy?
Je pense que l'idée, c'est que l'entrepreneuriat va devenir notre identité, que nous serons connus comme un territoire riche en l'entrepreneuriat qui a un réseau de soutien supérieur pour nos entrepreneurs et que nous allons réaliser beaucoup de retombées économiques pendant tout le territoire.
J'aimerais juste ajouter que je trouve qu'on s'immisce dans le terrain des autres. La SADC sont là juste pour ça. Nous autres, on donne du travail à la SADC et en tout cas, on s'échange du travail avec Carrefour Jeunesse Emploi. Puis c'est tout dans le but de donner, de prêter plus d'argent comme une banque de retombées là. Fait que moi, je compte le choix de l'entrepreneuriat comme projet signature innovation.
Si je pourrais, si je peux me permettre, juste de préciser, il reste à définir le projet, notre signature, mais je pense qu'il vaut la peine de dire que ce n'est pas nécessairement un autre programme de subvention ou des prêts pour les entreprises. C'est vraiment à trouver, à définir des projets qui vont mettre la fondation pour installer une culture entrepreneuriale sur le territoire. Puis je vois ça comme beaucoup des projets innovatifs qui vont venir. Mais comme j'ai dit, ça reste à définir.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions, or would someone like to move this resolution and we will vote on it? Moved by Mayor Alain Gagnon. All those in favor? All right, and those opposed?
I'm opposed.
You're opposed, Mayor Newberry. Anyone else opposed? Okay, well that
during the plenary, we were going to check with the Mamash if it needed a full support.
yes, we did check, and it doesn't have to be 100%. It's a consensus. So, with 17 mayors supporting it, I think we have enough consensus. But you can be recorded in the negative because that is your prerogative. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you very much. And your last item is the reso. Oh, this is the resolution MRC Matawini. Are you doing this, Cindy, or is this Bernard?
Pardon me, Jane. You've missed a point on the agenda.
Sorry, the agenda I'm looking at on paper. Let me have a look on the screen.
Oh, all right.
That's all right. I'm just following the piece of paper, which signature innovation. Oh, okay, I see. Acceptance of service offer. You're right. To define the signature innovation project. Go ahead and present it, please.
Sure. So within the framework of Stream 3 of the Regions and Rurality Fund through the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, we have expressed our interest in developing our signature innovation. Having just identified formally our signature innovation as entrepreneurship, the next step in the process is to complete a definition of the project for the ministry and to be submitted to and approved by the ministry. We must send the minister an estimate of the work related to the project, including the following information: a description of the project as a whole, our field of intervention, main objectives, main initiatives, follow-up and implementation mechanisms, etc. A presentation of the links between this project and the development vision of the regional county municipality, and a demonstration of the importance of the project in developing or consolidating the signature of the MRC or of the innovative nature of the project. We have signed an agreement with the ministry for an initial disbursement of $46,400 to contribute to the cost of defining the project, of which up to $50,000 is to be used to cover consultation fees. And as you all know, we've been working with Visage Réunion on two important projects, the Vision 2030 Strategic Development Plan, as well as the Territorial Marketing Plan. And as such, I approached Visage Réunion and requested a quote for services to help us define our signature innovation project. There is a service offer attached in ID side, which outlines their offer of services, and it meets all the necessary requirements to fulfill our obligations to the ministry. I held preliminary meetings with Visage Réunion and other potential collaborators, and the recommendation is to move forward with this offer of service as presented, which is in the amount of $43,750. And so you have a resolution before you tonight to accept this offer of service as presented from Visage Réunion to contract them for the definition of our signature innovation project, and is also resolved to assign me as signatory to all documents giving effect to this decision.
Okay, any questions, Mayor Newberry?
So now we're paying a firm to define the project for us. It's our signature innovation to define who we are, and now we're asking somebody to define it for us. So just want to confirm that.
It is part of the program as presented by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing to allow the MRCs, all of the MRCs in advance, up to $58,000 is the agreement that has been signed to work with a consultant to define the project, because there is a whole devis and forms that need to be established, filled out for the minister. And we need to work with experts as we move forward through this. This would be the case no matter what theme we chose as our signature innovation.
Mm-hmm. It's just another step that's required. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, can I have someone move this resolution, please? Moved by Mayor John Armstrong. All those in favor? Everyone, anyone opposed? No? Okay, unanimous. Thank you very much. 16.7, resolution for Réseau Accès Entreprises Québec. Appui support for this, Cindy Phillips and Bernard Roy.
Was it Cindy?
Bernard, are you moving this or speaking to it?
Cindy, peux-tu le présenter?
Oui, absolument.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the MRCs of Quebec have signed funding agreements with the Ministry of Economy and Innovation for the installation of a new service for business and entrepreneurs called the Réseau Accès Entreprises Québec. The funding is for $900,000 over the next 4 years until March 31st, 2025, and it's to be used to hire 2 resources. 5% of the total amount may be used to offset administrative expenses. Input into the funding agreement signed with the ministry has been solicited by and sent to Mr. Jacques Laberge, the DG of the Association of Director Generals of Quebec's MRCs, as well as Monsieur Pierre Chateauvert, the Policy Director with the FQM. And so you have a resolution before you, considering that it is provided for in the financial assistance agreement that each regional county municipality will receive $900,000 between now and March 31st, 2025 to improve the existing service offer, and this by hiring at least 2 full-time resources. Considering that from the first year, each regional county municipality will have to spend $300,000, otherwise the unspent amounts will have to be returned to the government. Considering that despite all of the goodwill of the regional county municipalities to hire 2 or more additional resources, it is almost impossible to spend this $300,000 in the first year of the agreement. Therefore, it is recommended before you tonight and proposed to ask the Quebec government to relax the rules of the agreement in order to allow the $900,000 to be spent during the term of the agreement and not in annual installments, and to include in the eligible expenses the expenses for the realization of projects carried out by the hired consultants. And secondly, to send a copy of the present resolution to the Ministry of Economy and Innovation, to the minister responsible for the Outaouais region, to the Pontiac MNA, to the Conférence des Préfets de l'Outaouais, to the MRC of Matawini, and to the MRCs of Quebec.
Cindy, is it the MRC Matawini that has started this and they're looking for support from other MRCs?
Yes, I'm sorry, I should have maybe clarified that. It did start, we received a copy of a resolution from the MRC of Matawini looking for support of other municipalities. And since we received that and we were already looking at supporting them, the FQM solicited the input of all of the development offices in the MRCs or in Quebec because there were many regions that were unhappy with the terms of the financial agreements.
Yeah, I think it's just great that, you know, someone realized how difficult it would be to spend that money and to have it returned. So I think it makes sense. Does it make sense to everybody? And would someone please move this resolution? Moved by
Doris.
Mayor Doris Ranger. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. Great job. We're going now to public safety. Julian Gagnon.
Madam Warden.
Pardon me?
Madam Warden, Jane, can I correct a misinformation I gave on a previous item?
Sure.
Yeah, it's about the equilibration, item 15.1. We actually received the resolution of Thorn, and if you agree with that, we will include in our resolution the municipality of Thorn. So we received 4 resolution. We will add Thorn on the resolution, if everybody agrees for that.
Okay, so we voted on it. So we need to make an amendment. Could someone support amending and adding Thorn, please? Moved by Mayor Gilles Dion, and now we will vote on the amended motion altogether. Moved by Mayor Newberry. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Thank you for mentioning that. Perfect. Good timing. Okay, public safety, we go to Julian Gagnon. Request to the Sûreté de Québec budget allocated to prevention and nautical patrol activities, 17.1, a resolution.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So this resolution is requesting additional funds be allocated by the Sûreté de Québec, considering the fact that the MRC has over 13,000 waterways, lakes, rivers, etc. And of course, the Ottawa River spans the length of the MRC. And in 2020, due to the pandemic, no activities being held in various local municipalities, we saw an increase in the traffic on the waterways, more boats on the river, for example. And for these reasons, we expect this to be the trend, at least for this summer. So for these reasons, we are requesting that the Sûreté de Québec increase their budget, albeit through the potential hiring of cadets to patrol the river, but also maybe carry out some prevention activities at boat launches in our local municipalities. And this was a resolution that was also adopted by MRC Vallée-la-Gatineau, who also shares a police regional dispatch police station, I guess I could say. So this resolution is to make this request.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Okay, could I have someone please move the resolution? Moved by Mayor Maurice Beauregard. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. 17.2, intermunicipal agreements, fees, equipment, and labor. Julian Gagnon, a resolution.
Yes, this is the first of 2 resolutions concerning hourly rates for mutual aid in firefighting. As you all may be aware, local municipalities adopt intermunicipal agreements with each other to provide mutual aid in the event of a large fire where one fire department is requested to back up a local fire department of another municipality. So within these agreements, there's an hourly rate that was set by the MRC through a resolution of recommendation back in 2011. And of course, with the cost of living and the cost of equipment that is seems to keep increasing, it was time that we review these rates. So this first resolution is for the hourly rates for equipment and manpower, according to a chart that has been shared with that will be shared with the municipalities and would take effect immediately.
Okay, great. Could I have someone move, any questions or comments? Yes, go, is your hand up for a comment, Mayor Orr, or you're moving it?
I'll move it.
Okay, thanks a lot. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Thank you. 17.3, intermunicipal agreements, the minimum fees per call. Julian Gagnon resolution.
Exactly. So in the same vein, we have a resolution here for these hourly rates, where normally a fire department responding in another municipality sometimes gets turned around due to false alarms or call outs that require no aid whatsoever at the end of the call. As we did in 2011, we are simply readopting a resolution specifying that these hourly rates do include a 2-hour minimum call out as to compensate a municipality that is backing up another, so there's no loss of funds in the event of a call.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments? Moved by Mayor Donnie Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 17.4, Bylaw 271, 2021, Fire Prevention, MRC of Pontiac, Notice of Motion and Draft Bylaw. Notice of Motion. Julian Gagnon, do you want to present it?
Sure. So this bylaw, this is of course the notice of motion for a revision of our fire prevention bylaw at the MRC. Essentially what the bylaw aims to do is to reinforce certain aspects of our current bylaw that was adopted in 2014, is meant to correct some deficiencies in the current version and attempt to standardize certain elements of fire prevention across the territory. So in more specifically, the bylaw aims to introduce certain elements of the National Fire Code of Canada, which was adapted for the province of Quebec by the province of Quebec, also known sometimes as the building chapter of the Safety Code of Quebec. The current version of our bylaw, as I said earlier, was adopted in 2014. It included many of these elements already, that a revision committee comprised of fire chiefs and the Fire Safety Committee of the MRC reviewed the bylaw and have come up with a more feasible bylaw, which we believe is better adapted to the reality of our MRC. This bylaw provides for the standardization of outdoor fires, whether they be in small screened-in appliances or in large outdoor open-air fires. The revision committee evaluated that this would be beneficial to standardize the requirements for these types of fires across the county as to better prevent confusion with residents when they have to abide by different rules in different municipalities. So this would standardize all these aspects of fire prevention, and we believe it would better protect the residents against fires in homes and as well in public buildings and spaces. So the MRC has declared its competence in the matter of adopting this bylaw, and of course this bylaw is available for consultation at the MRC. So for these reasons, we're giving notice of motion tonight, and the final version of this bylaw will be adopted at a future meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments on it? Okay, thank you very much. Great job, Julian. Now we go to Kim Lesage, our engineer for regional infrastructure. We're going to start with 18.1, the new website for the waterway. Kim.
Madam Warden, if I may.
Yes.
Yes, we just need someone, a member of council, to officially propose the notice of motion for this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking we weren't voting on it. Okay.
I'll make the notice of motion.
Thank you very much, Mayor LaRiviere. So we don't vote on it. She's just making the notice of motion. Is that it?
Exactly. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. 18.1, new website for waterway. Kim Lesage.
I'm going to share my screen. We're excited to share with the Council of Mayors that next week we will be relaunching our Ottawa River Waterway website. And so we would like to give you a sneak peek. Can everybody see? Yeah, so this new website features new pictures. We'll have videos, our new logo for the Ottawa River Waterway, and a little bit of a revision of what we had previously. I think it hasn't been in service, I guess, our waterway website. So it's kind of a relaunch. As you can see here, here's our waterway vehicle at the Desjardinville dock in L'Île aux Allumettes. So we have a nice introduction at the beginning of the Ottawa River Waterway itself, our address at the MRC, our website. And then we have a discussion. I'm just going to go quickly through the different tabs. So we have a discussion of the Ottawa River Waterway. So a history from the Algonquin Nation to the rafting that's happening now on the waterway, and then a little bit of information from the Pembroke and Pontiac regions. We also will have information on our boat lift services, what type of boats we can carry, how to make a reservation, the bypass sites that we have along the waterway from Fitzroy Harbor to Temiskaming, and our list of trailers that we have. Also, what's new is we're going to have an online reservation system to be able to reserve 24 hours ahead at least your boat lift. So the type of boat you have, your information, and therefore we'll even, not right away, but we're going to even down the road have that we can pay online for the reservations for this boat transfer fee. We don't have it up yet now, but we have also revised our map for the Ottawa River Waterway, and we'll have an area for blogs. So we're pretty excited about this. And by next Friday, it'll be launched for everybody to use and share.
What is the address for people to log on to this?
Well, I'm not going to give it now because it's not
live, but don't worry.
Sorry.
But if you know what it's going to be, you may as well share it. And
I'm trying to find it here. I think it'll be ottawariverwaterway.com.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
.ca.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you, Colleen.
Okay.
So that's just an information point, number one. Or my first point.
Okay, thank you. Second point, 18.2, Speed Buoys, Ottawa River.
We received a request about having speed control buoys installed on the Ottawa River. This was for a site downstream Portage to Fall to help protect the shoreline and the shoreline erosion that fast boats in the wakes of boats can cause. Control buoys are their installation is the responsibility of Transport Canada, and we believe that it would be a good and a pertinent request to make on behalf not only of that area in Portage, but other areas along the Ottawa River within the MRC limits. So I will quickly read through the resolution that we are proposing to address this. So considering the requests that we received, the significant increase in personal watercraft traffic in recent years, especially since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, considering that the Ottawa River is shared waterway with Ontario, and that according to Canada's Vessel Operation Restriction Regulation, it is prohibited to operate a power-driven vessel at a speed greater than 10 kilometers per hour within 30 meters of the shoreline. Considering that speed practiced by certain users may present dangers to public safety, can cause damage to shoreline facilities, moored boats, other boaters, and that it also contributes to shoreline erosion. Considering that the protection of shoreline is important to preserve these suitable habitats as feeding, calving, breeding, freshening, and nesting grounds for animals. The installation of these buoys is the responsibility of Transport Canada. Considering that there is other locations on the river where speeding is an issue that impacts public safety, shoreline erosion, and wildlife habitat, we are proposing that a formal request be sent to Transport Canada for the installation of control buoys to limit speed at key locations along the Ottawa River within the boundaries of the MRC. And it would be further resolved that a copy of the resolution be sent to Will Amos, Brantford County, the Ottawa River Keeper, and a township of Whitewater Region.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments? And we do need a resolution moved by Mayor Morris Beauregard. All those in favor, opposed, and that carries. 18.3, right-of-way, Ms. Evans Waltham. Kim Lesage.
Last fall, we received a request from a property owner in Waltham that the only way to get to her property because of the river proximity is to have permission to cross the PPJ. Right now, there is already, the black line is already used as a snowmobile trail. So it's really just extending it a little bit to gain access to her property. Now, considering that our bylaw prohibits vehicles and off-road vehicles to drive on the PPJ, we're proposing to grant a right-of-way to Mrs. Evans only to cross the PPJ at the location indicated on that plan in order to have access to her property, and that we would prepare a right-of-way agreement to be signed by Ms. Evans.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Yes.
Question.
Go ahead, Mayor
Est-ce que
Newberry.
ça va être un accès notarié?
No.
Thank you.
Okay. Could someone move the resolution? Thank you, Mayor Donnie Gagnon. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 18.4, bylaw 272-2021, amending bylaw 254-2019 on contract management, notice of motion and draft bylaw. So again, we'll just have someone move this as a notice of motion. Kim, would you like to introduce it?
Yep, in accordance with section 124 of Bill 167, municipalities are required to include in their contract management bylaw as of June 25th of this year and until June 25th of 2024, measures that will favor Quebec goods and services, as well as suppliers, insurers, and contractors who have an establishment in Quebec. So we have a projet de résolution, a draft bylaw that is aimed at amending our existing bylaw, that is 24/2019, on contract management.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and it's not very long. It really just says about, it's only 2 paragraphs about favoring the Quebec goods and services. Yeah. And it is a document that was prepared by the FQM that we've kind of just slightly modified for our use.
Okay, any questions or comments on this? Someone like to introduce the notice of motion? Move. Okay, you will. Thank you very much, Mayor Newberry. Thank you very much, Kim. I think you're finished. Great job. Management of territory. Jason Durand, we have 19.1, approval of 10 hectares Waltham, Alexandre Savoie-Perron, a resolution.
Bonsoir à tous et à toutes. Hello everyone. C'est un dossier qui concerne l'approbation des 10 hectares pour les constructions de résidences ou de chalets en zone agricole à Waltham. So it's basically just an approval of Waltham planning bylaws in order to allow some residences and cottages in some parts of the agricultural lands. Most other municipalities who have agricultural land have already implemented these bylaws. So this municipality is one of the last ones to complete the process.
Okay, thank you very much, Alexandre. Could I have a resolution, please? Moved by Pro Warden Cartier-Villeneuve. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 19.2, Agricultural Advisory Committee. We need a new member, and so we're going to vote on the resolution. Alexandre?
Donc, il s'agit de, dans le fond, c'est une recommandation de nommer M. Pierre-Alain Jones de Mansfield Pontefract sur le comité consultatif agricole. Une personne devait quitter, donc Brian Drummond de Bristol, puisqu'il va déménager. Alors, on devait remplacer M. Drummond. So basically, we had to put forward a new person on the Agricultural Advisory Committee for the remaining of the year. We are proposing Pierre-Alain Jones from Mansfield Pontefract because Brian Drummond from Bristol wished to resign from the committee due to he will be moving shortly to another area.
Okay. Any comments or questions? All right, could I have someone move the resolution of a new committee member? Moved by Mayor Debbie Laporte. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. 19.3, renewal, temporary suspension of areas inconsistent with mining a resolution. Alexander Savoie-Perron.
Oui, donc c'est un projet qui vise à renouveler pour une période de 6 mois la suspension temporaire qui, en fait, pour protéger le territoire de certaines activités minières. So it's basically, as done previously by council, a renewal of our kind of a moratorium for some areas inconsistent with mining. This will allow us the time to, put that in our revision for the master plan and also contact the stakeholders who currently have some claims on the territory.
Okay, thank you very much. And I need a resolution moved by Mayor Serge Newberry. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Merci beaucoup, Alex.
Merci, thank you.
C'est tout fini. Bon travail. 19.4 Forest Management Work on TPI, Jason Durant, resolution.
Yes, hello again, everyone. Actually, this, as you know, we do usually some silviculture work on our TPIs almost every year now, and now especially with some new funding with the PADF. So in other words, we have a couple activities planned out for our TPIs. So in other words, is asking resolution to go ahead with the different types of silviculture work on a couple of different TPI lots on the territory.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Could I have someone move this resolution? Moved by Mayor Gilles Dion. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. 19.5, the Règlement 253-2019 concernant le camping récréatif. A notice of motion, Jason Durand.
Yes, exactly. So this is a notice of motion for our new camping bylaw that was adopted last year. Unfortunately, after a year of trying to putting in application this bylaw, we've realized there were certain awkward situations. So for that, we decided to re-examine the camping bylaw, and we're recommending some certain modification. And I would say one of the big one is this is actually separating camping with a tent and camping with a camper or a trailer. So this is the main big two difference in this bylaw. So like I said, notice of motion, hoping to go ahead with the new bylaw for our next Council of Mayors.
Okay, very good. Could someone introduce the notice of motion, please?
I will, Jane, and I'll take the time to say thank you to Mathieu, who the way he presented it was very well done, and we could easily see where the difference was going to be, and you did a good job.
Yeah, pass that on, Jason. Thank you.
For sure. Yes, I do thank the whole staff for that, especially.
Yes, and then we thank
good
you.
Work.
And we thank you too. Thanks. So that was introduced by Mayor Newberry. 19.6, your last item, Tree and Forests Festival.
Yes, unfortunately, festival is maybe big for this year, as we know with all the COVID situation. However, though, we'll still go ahead with the distributing trees on Friday the 28th. So that's going to be from 9 to 3 p.m. So like I said, the program is mostly a pickup. So it's really because of all the situation we know, we want most of the people to come in and pick up their trees and leave as soon as possible. And we'll make sure next year though to have something a bit bigger than usual to so we can come back stronger with maybe with a big barbecue and everything. So this year's pickup situation, pick up trees, and next year we'll manage to have something a bit more, a bit bigger for the occasion.
Okay, thank you.
So I would like to precise as well, there's pickups here at the MRC, but there's some as well at certain municipalities.
Yeah,
so as you can
which
see,
ones do you know?
well, actually they're right here on the poster. We see Sheenborough, Allen and Kaywood. It's probably Otter Lake. I don't see because of my little screen here. Yeah, Otter Lake, Clarendon, Isles Alamet, Rapide des Joachim, Ile de Grand Calumet.
Oh, great. That's convenient. That's wonderful.
I just have a question. I know Chichester was looking for trees, but I guess we can get it through Calumet Island. Is that?
Oh, for sure. I actually, I'm surprised your municipality is not there, actually, to be honest, because I remembered you specifically asked to have some trees, so we could get that. Sorry about that, to be honest. So
That's okay. But anyway, we could combine with Alumet Island.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Jason.
So, okay,
Great
thank you
job.
very much.
So we go to miscellaneous, 20.1, elections 2021, Bernard Waugh, information.
Yeah, information. We invite everybody to a presentation of the Mamash, in which the Mamash will explain how citizens can engage themselves for the next election. It will be held by Zoom. It will be on May the 27th from 6 to 8 p.m. And it's for all of those living in Pontiac. It's exclusively for the Pontiac. So important, it's a crucial year, it's an election year. So it's a way to see if you can yourself engage for the next election.
And I was just going to mention, we all know this is the last year of the term. So this is May. We have a council meeting in June. July, we don't have a meeting because of vacation. We have a meeting in August. So that's June, August, September, and Bernard says no meeting in October. So we have 3 meetings left to get a lot done. So I just wanted to mention that to everybody.
Yeah, we have to reconfirm it, and we will come back with the information at the plenary in June.
Right. Okay. Thanks very much, Bernard. But in spite of floods, COVID, and everything else, it feels to me like we have all worked hard, and I feel we've gotten quite a bit accomplished. 20.2, Maurice Beauregard resolution concerning a financial aid request, a resolution from Campbell's Bay. Mayor Beauregard, go ahead.
Yes, so this request came in from the municipality of Campbell's Bay. As everyone's aware, we're going to build a washroom beside our park, and my council come up with the idea of asking the MRC if they would like to contribute, and we'll build it on the outside of the fence so it can be shared by the PPJ.
Okay.
So this is
You had an amount of money in mind, I believe, that we discussed at plenary.
Yeah, the approximate cost of the building is going to be $80,000 to the municipality.
Okay. And did we talk about 30,000, I think was the amount, or is there something written in?
It's the amount was supposed to be looked over by the engineer into the budget and got back. I believe Mr. Sundstrom had passed the amount. I don't want to quote that.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Would someone move this resolution? Mayor Sundstrom, would you like to move it then?
Yes, I would move the resolution to contribute 50% from the PPJ fund.
Okay, very good. Everybody in agreement with that? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you. 20.3, Ottawa River Markers, Chichester. Mayor Donnie Gagnon.
Yes.
We have a resolution.
Yes, it's to do with the navigational markers on the Ottawa River from Chichester to Culbute Locks. And it involves Alumet Island and Chichester because we share the Ottawa River. And I know we have a lot of whereases there, but it's because of significant development along the waterfront and substantial increase in watercraft, and markers are insufficient. It's a public safety issue. We're asking the Transport Canada, they've already agreed to put in 1 marker, but I think it has to be reviewed, and there need additional markers because there's a lot of rocks and a lot of boat traffic. So I'm looking for the MRC support.
All right. Any comments or questions? Could I have someone move this resolution, please? Moved by Mayor John Armstrong. All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. And we may have a competition for the next resolution. we're ready to close. We're ready to close the meeting. Could I have a resolution to adjourn this meeting? Moved by Mayor James Gibson. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. And take good care, everybody. And it's always great to see you. And maybe in June, if we can, we will have an in-person meeting. I know that Bernard and the staff are already investigating a few locations. So we know that we can't have it at Campbell's Bay because of the vaccinations. But if I could leave you with one thought, please do whatever you can. Start asking everybody that you know, have you had your at least one vaccination yet? Because I find that now that things are improving, it's just not top of mind. And with some of the younger people, they're not thinking about it. But really, we'll all be safer if everybody willing could please get the vaccination. It's not mandatory, but we hope and pray everyone will, because in that way we can be safe. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. Take good care.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Night, Jane. Night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.